Chapter 324, Farewell, 6. Editors, Z0rel, Blue Mango Ade. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Chapter 324, Farewell, 6. Follow me. The prelude to the battle is initiated by Co Eunhyun. Chua. Light. The starlight of all heaven's natural colors seemed to shine from his hand, transforming into a vertical line that strikes directly at the sphere. Quadadaduk. A scar of starlight remains on the sphere. I cast Ghost King Transformation. Perhaps due to the ghostly energy filling the surroundings, the 18 heads that had been destroyed by Co Eunhyun instantly regained their original form. Great Desert to Dead Sea. Glutinous Devil Ghost Devouring, Shimogurimai. Chiak, 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 Chiak. All 18 heads simultaneously open their mouths. An immense suction force emanates from them, absorbing all the ghostly and een energy in the vicinity. An overwhelming power surges forth. Ooh! From the eye sockets of the 18 heads, a ferocious ghost fire erupts violently. Simultaneously, the surrounding een energy is temporarily weakened, causing the ghost horde to retreat. But that isn't the end. The next stage of the Chi building een soul ghost incantation, which I had inherited from the cursed lineages by Yul. A method that begins at the nascent soul stage and can be mastered up to the grand perfection 4-axis stage. Black Blood Tears Flower, Regressor Shileiguak. Chua. From the 18 skull heads, pitch black tears fall. The tears scatter on the ground, causing sinister buds of curses to sprout from the earth. A long time ago, I had almost independently evolved the een soul ghost incantation to reach Black Blood Tears Flower. The buds of the curses resemble the grotesque masses I had created in my 10th cycle using the Black Ghost Curse Banner. The malice they emit is also quite similar. If I hadn't discovered the White Orchid Blessing incantation back then, I would have obtained the Black Blood Tears Flower. Of course, although I had come close, this Black Blood Tears Flower is still the masterpiece created over several generations by the cursed lineage of Black Ghost Valley. The buds of curses I created back then with the Black Ghost Curse Banner were the end, but this is just the beginning for the Black Blood Tears Flowers. Kaiya, Kwawa, Wawaea. The buds bloom. Simultaneously, the area is filled with screams louder than the wailing of the ghosts. The black flowers look more like the gaping mouths of several split snakes, with eyeball-like objects wriggling inside. Usually, blooming 1 Black Blood Tears flower would be classified as 1 star. Blooming 3 flowers would be 2 stars. Blooming 5 flowers would be 3 stars, corresponding to the early, middle, and late stages of the nascent soul stage. 8 flowers would be 4 stars, representing the grand perfection nascent soul stage. 10 flowers would be 5 stars. 20 flowers would be 6 stars. 30 flowers would be 7 stars. Blooming 50 flowers to create a flower bed would be 8 stars, corresponding to the grand perfection heavenly being stage. Afterwards, blooming 100 flowers would be 9 stars. 200 flowers would be 10 stars. 360 flowers would be 11 stars corresponding to the late 4-axis stage. And successfully creating a flower garden with 1,000 flowers would signify achieving 12 stars, representing great achievement. Around me, countless grotesque flowers bloom, filling a radius of 10 li in an instant. Even the ghosts guarding the sphere flinch and retreat at the sight of this monstrosity. Chwararik. As I call forth my will, a een wind swirls in the surroundings. In that een wind, the petals of the sinister flowers scatter. The black petals from the curse gather before me and coalesce into a sword. Boom. I concentrate my mind and swing the cursed flower sword. Quam. The sword slash of the flower sword overlaps with the starlight scar left by Co Eunhyun. Yet, the sphere remains intact, with only traces of damage. Curse assimilation. However, the sword mark from my cursed flower sword permeates into the sphere. I can sense it. The sphere is a conglomerate of all kinds of pain, resentment, and sorrow. A massive force condensed with the grudges of ghosts. Inside it, my curse naturally blends in, assimilating with the sphere. Like a spy, the petals of my Black Blood Tears flower infiltrate within. Co Eunhyun and I exchange glances. Boom. The sword scar left by Co Eunhyun begins to shine with all of heaven's colors. What is the first step before the throne? Co Eunhyun's eyes gleam. For 500 years, he had self-reflected and comprehended the essence of the formless sword. He then further forged the formless sword that had grown immensely through becoming a heavenly tribulation. He realized that the enlightenment already laid within him. He awakened the heart of martial arts that he had learned and united it with himself once more. And like so, he reached the first step before the throne. The essence of the first step before the throne is as follows. Resolutely preparing for one's soul to be crushed and to perish, one compresses their heart essence into depths of their martial arts. A realization that resonates with Co Eunhyun's Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace. If one's true heart aligns with their martial arts, they won't perish even when delving into the depths of their martial arts. Unbeknownst to him, Seo Eun-hyun had preemptively practiced the enlightenment of the first step before the throne through his sea of righteousness and mountain of grace. In this way, if one stakes everything and succeeds in infusing their heart essence, into the depths of their martial arts, uniting the heart of their martial arts with their own heart, their martial arts will completely rise to the plane of soul. In the case of Tae Yeol-jan, it reaches the depths of the plane of soul. She draws power from the source of heart essence as she continues her battles. For Jang-ik, he leverages his fighting spirit, which has risen to the plane of soul, to gather an immense amount of energy from the plane of chi to unleash his attacks. Those who reach the first step before the throne can all achieve a strike at the plane of soul. Using that strike, they can embed their heart essence into their opponent's heart essence or manifest their heart essence externally to create an avatar. Jang-ik's ability to embed a Padao into the heart essence of numerous subordinate heart tribe members to support them with a single strike. The ability to create an avatar through the Padao and dispatch it in times of emergency. Kim Young-hoon, creating an avatar exactly like his main body except for the total amount of energy. They are all based on the same principle. The first step before the throne corresponds to both the four-axis and integration stages of the heaven and earth tribes. Why is this so? The reason is that the strike of the first step before the throne, forged by putting in one's everything, is powerful enough to split dimensions and rival the full-force strike of a grand cultivator in the integration stage. However, the strike of the first step before the throne must literally contain everything. The heart tribe often falls into a near-death state after unleashing a single compressed strike of their heart essence. While their overall skills improve after merging the heart of their martial arts with their own heart, the main strength of the heart tribe in the first step before the throne lies in the strike infused with heart essence. A single use would drain their combat power, making it a do-or-die gamble of mutual destruction. Therefore, heart tribe members in the early stages of the first step before the throne are regarded as being in the four-axis stage. However, as they become more familiar and skilled with the attacks of the first step before the throne, and their understanding of heart essence deepens, the number of times they can launch heart essence strikes increases. Their personal skills gradually improve, allowing them to push the power of their heart essence to its extreme. The initial single mutually destructive strike increases to 2 strikes, then 3 strikes. As their understanding of heart essence deepens further, at some point, members of the heart tribe become capable of launching multiple heart essence strikes in rapid succession. Therefore, heart tribe members who reach the later stages of the first step before the throne and can skillfully handle the power of heart essence, rapidly unleashing multiple heart essence strikes, are recognized as being on par with those at the integration stage. Furthermore, the reason why ordinary heart tribe members fall into a near-death state after launching a heart essence strike is because they wield a power their frail bodies cannot handle. That means, Chwalot. Second strike. Seo Eun-hyun, who possesses the physical body of a four-axis stage earth tribe, will not be in a critical state from just 1 or 2 heart essence strikes. In an instant, Seo Eun-hyun's body seems to be enveloped in sharp energy, and he swings his sword. Quadudaduk. Once again, scars of light are engraved on the sphere. Third strike. Flash. Once more. Fourth strike. Once more again. Seo Eun-hyun's strikes continue to land, and 7 scars in total are embedded in the sphere. Seo Eun-hyun wipes the sweat off. The light embedded in the sphere becomes even brighter. This light is visible only to Seo Eun-hyun, who is of the heart tribe, Seo Lee, who shares his vision, and the Mad Lord, who also has a vision like that of the heart tribe. That light represents both sword scars and Seo Eun-hyun's avatars. Now Seo Lee. Seo Eun-hyun shouts. Seo Lee forms hand seals. Curse reversal. And then, flash. The black petals flowing inside the sphere reverse into pure white petals in an instant. Boom. A massive brilliance erupts from the top of the sphere, creating a large air hole. Simultaneously, the 7 sword scars merge into one, burrowing deep into the sphere. Let's go, please. Elder. All right. Boom. Seo Eun-hyun and Seo Lee enter within the sphere, followed by an enormous swarm of puppets. How far have the two chased after Seo Eun-hyun's slash? Before their eyes. There, the nether crossing ship comes into view. The space is distorted. Seo Eun-hyun mutters as he runs through the interior, which is larger than the sphere seen from the outside. Boom. The swarm of puppets cling to the nether crossing ship, trying to pull it out. However, the nether crossing ship does not budge, as if it's anchored in place. Underneath the nether crossing ship, black ghosts are gathered as if to form a liquid, holding onto the ship. Will you not get lost? Seo Lee commands fiercely with ghost fire raging. But the ghosts, though trembling with fear, do not retreat. Seo Eunhyun gazes at the ghosts calmly. The ghosts seem to fear Seo Eunhyun even more than Seo Lee, yet they still do not move. Seo Eunhyun clicks his tongue and speaks. We have to remove them. I'll take care of extracting the nether crossing ship, so you follow the light. Seo Eunhyun points somewhere while looking at Seo Lee. There, the merged 7 strikes he had unleashed earlier are piercing through the darkness beyond the nether crossing ship, continuing forward. That's, from my vision, at the center of those depths lies her heart essence. Kong Minhee's main body should be there. Go, Seo Lee. Seo Lee looks at Seo Eunhyun. Seo Eunhyun. What is it? You didn't tell me. Why you came to rescue Kong Minhee? Seo Eunhyun gently smiles at those words. Until recently, you called me the main body. Now, you need me to tell you for you to understand. Somehow, his tone seems reproachful. However, his expression seems filled with joy. You, having originated from me, should already know. Seo Eunhyun turns his back to Seo Lee. Kugugugugu. The starlight of the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method, altered by Seo Huiol, begins to shine from Seo Eunhyun's entire body. His body begins to grow larger, resembling that of Azure Tiger Saint. Seo Eunhyun becomes a giant embodying the starry night. People, from birth to death, receive immeasurable grace that cannot be expressed in words. Seo Lee, from his memories. No, the figure of a giant that exists in Seo Eunhyun's memory overlaps with that form. Struggling to repay that grace, to give back to this world, is our duty, our obligation, and our privilege. Kadudaduk. The giant of stars begins to tear away the nether crossing ship that's anchored by the ghosts from the ground. It's Azure Tiger Saint. He's come from the Azure Heaven Creation sect to save us. The few remaining disciples of Black Ghost Valley in the nether crossing ship cheer as they see the giant of stars, moving towards impossible dreams while overcoming endless hardships, enduring unbearable pain. Living while struggling like that is who we are. Seo Lee stares blankly at the giant's back. Because you struggled with your own will, because you sought to break through with your own will, because with your own will you had belief and aimed to reach the stars, I decided to help you. Go, Seo Lee. The saying the heavens help those who help themselves might be false, but I will help you. Seo Lee remains silent. Then he turns and chases after Seo Eunhyun slash. I'm always just following. Behind him, the disciples of Black Ghost Valley cheer, but as they exit, they scream upon encountering the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Soon, Seo Eunhyun will probably follow him. He will overtake him again. No, since Seo Eunhyun's slashes which are burning through the darkness ahead are like his avatars, he is already ahead of him. I'm only looking at your back. Seo Lee grits his teeth as he runs after Seo Eunhyun. He realized they have already diverged. Although he doesn't know what the next regression will bring, they are already different people. And Seo Eunhyun respects Seo Lee, pushing him in order to be independent from his embrace at any time. However, Seo Lee feels a lingering frustration in his heart. He doesn't know why. How far has he run along the path of darkness? Pat it. Seo Eunhyun slash exhausts its energy and fades, and Seo Lee finally reaches the end of the path. There, a massive ghost guiding Holy Mother in the form of an 8-foot ghost monster is curled up and sleeping. Chapter 325, Farewell, 7. Editors, Z0 Rel, Blumengawade, Resnut. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Chapter 325, Farewell, 7. As he approaches the ghost with a body length of about 30 meters, blue eyes sprout from its body. Upon meeting those eyes, Seo Lee feels his body stiffen. Kirk. Seo Lee's body freezes, unable to move any further. It's the great desert to Dead Sea he has mastered. The entirety of the ghost path method within his body solidifies, forbidding any movement that it feels as though his ghostly energy was seized control of by the entity before him. However, it's different from the last time when he met this entity's gaze and was dragged into its domain to encounter Kong Minhee. Seo Lee grits his teeth and shouts, Kong Minhee, Kong Minhee. But the ghostly entity shows no reaction. It simply stares at Seo Lee with its completely transformed, piercing blue eye, doing nothing else. Seo Lee clenches his teeth. Choruru. Ghostly energy moves, sealing off the path Seo Lee had come through. Now, only Seo Lee and Kong Minhee remain in this space. But Seo Lee gradually realizes that his body is moving on its own against his will, trying to expel him from the space. No, he can't move. The ghostly energy moves on its own accord. Kong Minhee, get a hold of yourself. I'm here. Suddenly, the speaking Seo Lee is startled. The me that Kong Minhee knows is the me that's Seo Eunhyun's clone. In other words, the one she needs to be facing might not be me, but Seo Eunhyun. I am Seo Lee, not Seo Eunhyun. I don't know by what right I have to be calling Kong Minhee, so I briefly fall silent. Damn it, I grit my teeth. And then, woodaduk, forcefully, using all the circuits of the Mad Lord and all my willpower. Forcefully, Kadudaduk. I move one of my arms and tear off one of the heads attached to my shoulder. Quadudaduk. Ku. It's painful, but Seo Eunhyun wouldn't even bat an eye. The torn head is condensed into a gang sphere and thrown into the void. Then I tear out another. Quadudaduk. Arag. It hurts, but Seo Eunhyun wouldn't even twitch. Badudaduk. Kwargart. How many heads have I torn out? Before I knew it, my Ghost King transformation had significantly loosened, and my voice had returned to its human form. However, simultaneously, the ghostly energy in my body is gradually decreasing. I condensed the very essence of my ghost path method into gang spheres and released them into the void. Quaduduk. I tear out the last head, and I completely return to my human form. However, as a human, I am only at the heavenly being stage at best. Having also temporarily extracted other techniques like the 6 extremes in Thunder Body, I am in a severely weakened state. Kook. I gasp for breath, expelling Seo Eunhyun's death from my body. Of course, I feel like my heart might burst and kill me at any moment. Not just from the pain, but from the pressure emitted by Kong Minhee, who is at the star-shattering stage. It feels like I am about to be crushed by that terrifying power. But I am Seoli. At this moment, I become complete as myself, and I am no longer affected by the ghostly energy. I muster all my remaining strength and reach out to Kong Minhee. Quadudaduk. My body feels like it's being crushed and torn apart, but it doesn't matter. I can reach her. With every step forward, my body breaks down. The darkness enveloping Kong Minhee is pierced bit by the power gathered in one hand. But in exchange, I have to give up everything. Yet I move forward. I can reach her. Looking back, I was born the moment I didn't convey Kong Minhee's words to Seo Eunhyun. I came into existence because of her. Even though her heart might have been directed at Seo Eunhyun, not me. Even though I might have been just a bystander. Even though it might not have been a heart originally meant for me. Her feelings reached me, and I was born. Therefore, Kong Minhee, I must return my heart to you. Quadudaduk. Even the flesh of Yuan Yu's body begins to rot, unable to withstand the death energy pervading the space. Kong Minhee, I like you. It isn't because of Seo Eunhyun's memories. The moment with her, when we were together even if brief. Combing her hair. Trying to kill me because of a misunderstanding. All those brief moments together. They were truly wonderful. Step. As I approach her, I feel that the 30 m tall figure I see of her is not her true form. Inside the ghostly body composed of ghostly energy, I feel her presence. Without caring that my flesh is freezing solid, I enter the ghost body made of ghostly energy, taking steps towards the center where she lies. I can't withstand this. I can feel it. Even if the original Yuan Li came back and resurrected 70 times, he wouldn't be able to go any further. My body starts to freeze and crumble into powder. Maybe just as John Myung-hoon is loved by lightning, Kong Minhee might be loved by all the ghosts and spirits of the world. I might be a ghost born from Seo Eunhyun's deluded thoughts, Wang-an. Quaduduk. My whole body begins to scatter into the aura of death. No. Even if I am to die, I want to reach her. And then, clench. A warm hand grabs my shoulder from behind. You fool. Why did you abandon the Ghost King's body and face this with your bare body? It's Seo Eunhyun. Somehow, he had thrown the Nether Crossing ship outside, saved everyone in Black Ghost Valley, torn apart the sealed space, and reached here. It's warm. Why is that? As Seo Eunhyun grabs my shoulder, I feel my body, which seemed about to freeze in the ghostly energy, start to thaw. Is it that? For a moment, I see the flame burning inside Seo Eunhyun. It's a fire that scorches Seo Eunhyun's soul. Though I can't hurt others with the karmic fire, it seems to have a warming effect. He explains with a faint smile, attributing it to the effect of the karmic fire. He too seems exhausted, spitting blood from the effort of coming this far. The pain of karmic fire must be unimaginable. How can he stand so calmly? He smiles as he holds my shoulder. Go forward, Seoli. Wouldn't it be better if you went? Maybe. Do you think Kong Minhee needs me? Maybe so. Seo Eunhyun nods calmly. But his next words make me clench my fists. But I think you need Kong Minhee. What do you mean? Did you forget I'm a cunning heart tribe spy? Don't think you can deceive my eyes. Look ahead and walk. If there's something you desperately want to convey, you do it yourself. At Seo Eunhyun's sharp words, my mind feels like it snaps into place. Yeah. I look ahead. From behind, Seo Eunhyun's voice echoes. Form the gang sphere. Wawoon. I form a gang sphere on my hand. I can't use entering heavens beyond the path, but I can manage ultimate pinnacle. Divide the gang sphere into 9. What's the point of? Just do as I say. I obediently divide the gang sphere. Circulate the gang spheres. I think I understood what he's trying to do. He might be trying to help me reach entering heavens. But it's a ridiculous idea. I haven't been able to use entering heavens for hundreds of years. The path of the sword you walked isn't mine. When I thought I was Seo Eunhyun, I believed I could use the formless sword with his memories. But knowing I am Seo Lee, I realized it clearly. These aren't my experiences, nor my insights. Therefore, I can't use the formless sword. Even if I try to infuse my insights into the gang sphere, it's impossible. However, Seo Eunhyun's next words go beyond my imagination. For the past 500 years, what have you done? What? I asked what you've been doing for 500 years. Didn't you observe it through heart essence? Just answer. I cultivated through the great desert to Dead Sea, through the black blood tears flower, and through the 6 extremes in thunder body. Then you should know what you like best, right? When I fought Tae Yeol-jon, you were also connected to me. Have you forgotten how she reached entering heavens? That's right. Tae Yeol-jon reached entering heavens by sublimating her insights from the Buddhist family methods she practiced. But could I do it too? Could I do it with the cultivation methods I practiced? Could I really? Seo Eunhyun, do you know? What? I look back at Seo Eunhyun and smile. Really, he's annoyingly similar to Kim Young-hoon. Why can't he just tell me straightforwardly? You're really an annoying guy. Can't you just tell me directly? It's only meaningful if you figure it out yourself. Seo Eunhyun receives my smile with a laugh. He's the one who's been observing me through heart essence for 500 years. He is a grandmaster of martial arts and the original owner of my talents. Seo Eunhyun is not a madman, and there is no reason for him to suddenly force an awakening on me. Which means, I've already said it's within you. Swing it. Come to think of it, that's plagiarized from Young-hoon Hyungnim. It's already within me. At the moment of realization, I move forward, believing in myself. This is me. The result of abandoning all ghost path methods, forsaking the death that isn't mine, believing in what I have cultivated, and becoming whole as me, is this. My own manifestation. The gang spheres cycle at my fingertips. They draw a circle. Within that circle, I see my own 3 great ultimates. The great desert to Dead Sea, the black blood tears flower, the 6 extremes in thunder body that I have all practiced. Entering heavens beyond the path. At my fingertips, a flower begins to bloom. Fallen flowers cannot return to branches. Luohua Nanshangzhi. What emerges from my hand is neither the white orchid blessing incantation nor the black blood tears flower, but something black. Using the enlightenment of martial arts from Seo Eunhyun's memories, I dissolved devilish arts and curses to create my own entering heavens. What initially had the form of the white orchid blessing incantation gradually changes shape and transforms into a different flower. Black lily, Heibatha. What appears to be a single black lily blooming, quivers and spreads in all directions. The black lily petals envelop my surroundings. Step. I become able to take another step, absorbing pain while straddling the plane of soul and plane of chi and transforming it into pure energy that scatters upon the ground. This is my entering heavens. Through fallen flowers cannot return to branches, I scatter the pain and sorrow filled in this darkness and move forward. And I feel Seo Eunhyun smiling behind me. Let's go. He stands not behind, but beside me. It's impressive. Seo Eunhyun draws his sword of light from the void. I said I reforged the formless sword. Can you now hear its name? Wawoom. I can hear it. In my ears, which have completely entered a new entering heavens, I hear the hum of the formless sword. Since it resembles its owner, your entering heavens also seems to like plagiarism. Plagiarism? It's a name she gifted me. I burst into a hearty laugh at Seo Eunhyun's words. Chwalalalik. The black lily petals gather to form a flower sword in front of me. Just like when we first entered the sphere, we each hold the flower sword and the formless sword. No, that's not the formless sword now. I utter the name the formless sword conveyed directly to me. All Heaven's sword is the final form of the colorless glass sword. Since the colorless glass sword was created to contain the formless sword, it's not strange to attach its form to the formless sword's name. Try coming up with a cool name like Young-hoon Hyungnim. After a brief exchange of banter, we assume our stances without anyone needing to say more. Seo Eunhyun's intent echoes, and his absolute technique engraves itself into my mind. Severing mountain swordsmanship. 30th move. Deep mountain. Emerging Dao. Sanshiran Hoda. I will rip through, strike, and enter. Only deep within the mountain does the path emerge. Sanshiran Hoda. A faint forest scent seems to spread. It feels like entering a deep mountain. Through Seo Eunhyun's consciousness, I understand what the 30th move of the severing mountain swordsmanship he has newly attained is about. In an instant, Seo Eunhyun's All Heavens sword becomes completely transparent. He has risen to the much deeper and higher plane of soul. The basic technique of the sword is a downward slash, lifting the sword high and then slashing downwards. Using precise muscle movements, raising the sword high, and accelerating it downwards with gravity to strike the opponent. It looks very simple, but in reality, it is an immensely powerful technique. And I can feel it. Co Eunhyun's all heavens sword advancing to a much higher plane than can be seen. The sword moves. From a higher plane, the sword slashes downward and descends lower. From a high position to a low position. From a high plane to a low plane. As the sword tip lowers, it accelerates, and as the plane lowers, the cultivation of the heaven and earth tribe is added to the sword. And finally, his sword descends completely to the material plane. Shakak. The last moment is beyond the speed my eyes can follow. For just a moment, it seems as if his downward slash surpasses the surpassing Radiant Saber's speed, but is that just an illusion? And when his downward slash finishes, chwak, I witness Kong Minhee's darkness, having reached the star-shattering stage, split open like a valley. A path to Kong Minhee opens. Tut-tut. Without hesitation, I charge towards her with the flower sword. Holding the sword made of black petals, I concentrate. The center of the ghostly energy forming the 8-foot ghost monster. I see her, completely blackened, crouching. After entering deep within the mountain and attaining the Tao, one contemplates the spring before the flowers fall. San Senrenko Dao, Holo Chinshan. Fallen flowers cannot return to branches. Application technique. Spring before flowers fall. Holo Chinshan. Quack. The flower sword made of black lily petals pierce Kong Minhee's body. At the same time, the flower sword starts to reverse and turn pure white. The white lily petals push away the darkness that envelopes Kong Minhee. Originally, fallen flowers cannot return to branches absorbs pain and scatters it by converting it into energy. The reverse spring before flowers fall absorbs my power and conveys my emotions to the opponent. Though it seems similar to the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts' ultimate technique, endless paths within paths, it's a technique several levels higher. Towards the immense sorrow enveloping Kong Minhee, I burn everything. My cultivation, my life, my soul. Quadadudaduk. A pillar of light seems to penetrate Kong Minhee. Reaching. Kugagugagu. An immense repulsive force rebounds from Kong Minhee, as if telling me not to approach. It's an overwhelming repulsive force. It feels as if it will tear the space apart. But I can't lose. Please. Just for a moment, reach. Co Eunhyun comes up behind me and pushes my back. Together, we thrust the light. And the light explodes. Shwa ea. It's raining. I look around what became the ruins of the Swiftwind domain. Nothing remains. Everything has been ground down by Kong Minhee's power, turning into a desert like the dead Earth domain. It was originally a place with only valleys and mountain peaks, but now there is truly nothing left. Are you satisfied, Seoli? I sit cross-legged, gazing at Seoli who lays beside me. No, saying he is lying down isn't accurate. Seoli's body is entirely torn into pieces and scattered somewhere, with only his head remaining. Only his head is left, barely clinging to life thanks to the tenacious vitality of Yuanyu. Seoli's attack, which burned everything he had, succeeded. I close my eyes and recall the situation just moments ago. My all heavens sword overlapped with Seoli's fallen flowers cannot return to branches, creating an immense piercing force in an instant. We narrowly succeeded in embedding Seoli's spring before flowers fall into her. Seoli's heart was conveyed. But regardless, she has reached the star-shattering stage. Kong Minhee has already become the ghost-guiding Holy Mother. Kong Minhee opens her eyes. In her eyes, burning with blue ghost fire, blue tears are streaming down. Kong Minhee. No, the ghost-guiding Holy Mother swings her arm at us. That is the end. The overwhelming difference in power crushes any will to resist. With that, we are thrown away, and the ghost-guiding Holy Mother screams a terrifying ghostly wail and flies off somewhere. Kong Minhee. But I know. Seoli's feelings have been conveyed. And for a very brief moment, she regained her sanity. Co Eunhyun. Kong Minhee called my name as she looked at me, then lost her reason again and flew away. Are you alright? She called my name at the last moment. To her, Seoli does not exist. Kong Minhee always thought of Seoli as just a clone of Co Eunhyun. In a way, Seoli's expectations were betrayed. However, Seoli is smiling. I'm fine. What do you mean fine? Blurk. Suddenly, I feel a tightness in my chest and try to breathe, but pieces of my innards flow out with blood. My sturdy Earth tribe body is utterly shaken. Death energy has permeated my body in such a way that even resurrection seems impossible. Seoli must feel the same. Even after reaching the 4-axis stage after all that effort, we die without a chance to even resurrect. I sigh with a bitter smile, breathing heavily. Are you really fine, Seoli? Co Eunhyun. Seoli, with lungs crushed, vibrates the heaven and earth spiritual energy with his remaining consciousness and continues speaking. I'm really fine. What is fine? Chi. The ghostly energy left by the ghost-guiding Holy Mother gradually invades my body. It's the power of the star-shattering stage. No matter what, I can't resist. The path of resurrection in the plane of soul is distorted by the attraction force, preventing our resurrection. But, using all my strength, I try not to collapse in front of Seoli to hear his last words. I will regress, but Seoli will not. Facing death, I instinctively feel it deep within my soul. This guy is now a different being for me, a kind of familiar born from me. Yet, even so, he is a different entity. Therefore, he will not return. Thus, I have a reason to listen to his final words. Seoli continues speaking with a bright expression. My heart has been conveyed. It's all fine, even if it wasn't reciprocated. Yes. He smiles. I did my best, and by reaching and conveying it, what I wanted to do was completed. Rather you. Seoli looks at me. He has a face as if he's about to cry. Yes, Seoli is pitying me. I will be buried here. But you will continue to live, right? I see. You feel it too, that you won't regress. At the end of our lives, we speak slowly. It's hard to talk. It's too painful. But still, I feel at ease. Death is imminent. Not the death I felt through Seo Eunhyun's memories. Neither the death felt through the ghost path method, nor the death felt on the side path, but true death. And now, standing before true death, I seem to understand. I will not regress. My life ends here. Only then do I unravel a few mysteries. The reason I was a bit more cautious with my body than before. The reason I felt life was more precious than before. And the real reason Seo Eunhyun helped me against Kang Min-hee. It was because we both vaguely sensed that I will not regress. Seo Eunhyun. The reason you helped me, aside from helping me to become independent of my own will, there was one more reason, wasn't there? He nods heavily. For some reason, his voice is trembling. Seo Eunhyun, who always seemed like a giant in this life, looks very small now facing death. You are me. It's the exact opposite of what he had always said. From the mouth of Seo Eunhyun, who always distinguished between Seo Eunhyun and Seo Lee, an interesting truth flows. You are another possibility of mine. The possibility of me loving Kang Min-hee, the possibility of me learning devilish arts, and the possibility of entering eternal rest. Haha, I laugh. I feel light, but at the same time, I feel pity. I will die on this land. I will enter eternal rest. But the connections I made on this land won't disappear over time. I will be buried in this land. Even if I decay into a handful of fertilizer and become soil, I will remain on this land. The connections I have made will remember me. Even if Kang Min-hee does not know me, the fact that I conveyed my feelings to her, this history will remain unchanged. Kim Yun, John Myung-hoon, Kang Min-hee, the Mad Lord, Azure Tiger Saint. The integration stage grand cultivators, the people of Black Ghost Valley, those I met on this journey, and even Seo Huil, despite being annoying. They will not forget me, and I will remain in this land as a handful of soil, remembered by those who recall me. Even if this time is annihilated by regression, I will vanish with the others. Whether the timeline remains after regression or not, I am now with them. But what about Seo Eunhyun? He will regress after he dies. Even if his body becomes soil, his soul will regress and endlessly repeat life. Even if his body remains here, his soul will move to another time, and he will no longer be able to reminisce about those connections that remember him. Only the records stored in the canvas of myriad forms and connections will comfort Seo Eunhyun, warmly but sorrowfully. I am the possibility that Seo Eunhyun wants the most. To die and be buried in this land, in this world, in this time. I cry, crying loudly like a child, and laughing with joy at fulfilling one of my deepest wishes. I pity Seo Eunhyun. I will stay here. But you will leave, right? Yes. What words can I leave him? Feeling my consciousness fading, I leave my final words to Seo Eunhyun. Live well. And, crying and laughing, enjoying this life that was like a fleeting dream, I peacefully bury myself in this land. Farewell, Seo Eunhyun. Stay well, me. That is my final death. Seo Eunhyun closes his eyes and looks at the peaceful expression of the dead Seo Lee. The beautiful face left by Yuan Lee, whom he detests. A face he loathes so much that he often smashes it out of boredom. But at this moment, Seo Eunhyun finds Seo Lee's face to be extremely beautiful. I have to bury him. Thud. But Seo Eunhyun can no longer hold out any longer and collapses on the spot. Seo Eunhyun, dressed in white, and the corpse of Seo Lee, covered in black fragments, lay facing each other under the falling raindrops. Will, is it the will left behind by Seo Lee? The gang spheres hidden all over, left behind by Seo Lee, enter Seo Eunhyun's body. Gang spheres containing the spiritual power of the ghost path method. Of course, since it's filled with the energy of death, it does not help Seo Eunhyun recover from his injuries. But that power settles within Seo Eunhyun, harmonizing the three great ultimates. Seo Eunhyun closes his eyes. On the land where two incarnations of life, cultivators of the four-axis stage, have died, Is it the spirits of the two cultivators, unable to resurrect, creating harmony? At some point, the rain stops, and a quince tree and a lily tree grow on that land. Someone approaches the two trees, and a wind blows from somewhere. The petals of the lily tree cling tightly to its branches without scattering, but the petals of the quince tree scatter and fly far away. The branches of the white lilies sway in the wind, but the petals do not scatter, almost as if they are waving goodbye. To say farewell. That is Seo Eun-hyun's 19th return. Author's note. First, I apologize if you were expecting a lot from the Christmas consecutive chapters and found them a bit dull. However, upon finishing the cycle, I felt it was right to conclude here. If I had pushed forward to the next chapter today, it might have felt even more unresolved, so I decided to stop at these 3 consecutive chapters. I will try to bring a bit more for the New Year's consecutive chapters. As for the story, Seo Lee represents another possibility for Seo Eun-hyun and directly showcases Seo Eun-hyun's objective. This is also a kind of return to the original intention, intended to clearly remind readers of Seo Eun-hyun's purpose. Seo Lee may seem distinct, but he is another protagonist and another version of Seo Eun-hyun. Although they appear different, both deeply fear regression and the emptiness of disappearing connections in their hearts. In a way, Seo Lee represents the Seo Eun-hyun who achieved what he most desired. Being buried in the land. Being remembered in history. Ensuring that his connections do not fade into emptiness. This is Seo Eun-hyun's ultimate goal. It's a slightly more concrete goal than simply breaking the cycle of regression or committing suicide. With lots of foreshadowing and numerous stories, the 18th cycle has ended. I am deeply grateful to all readers for appreciating this somewhat complex and sometimes unfriendly story. Wishing you all a Merry Christmas for the remaining time. Chapter 326. It's strange. An eerie sound brushes my ears. No, that's not right. I don't have ears. I died. No, this is strange too. Whenever I die, I always regress immediately, so my body is restored. So why don't I have ears? I regain consciousness. This place is, gee, a bizarre sound. No, perhaps it would be better described as a melody? I can feel my soul being transported somewhere along with that sound. And then, I realize I'm in a place that seems like a giant river, flowing against its current. Sutsutsu. I see. There are scenes in the river. No, to be precise, in the huge yin and yang. The taiji spirals as it flows, and within that spiral, scenes flow like a river. I understand. So this is how my regression works. I am undoubtedly experiencing regression in progress. I must have regained consciousness while traveling back in time. However, nothing like this has happened before. Why is this happening now? As I ponder, I realize I have changed from before. Alright, I reached the 4-axis stage, didn't I? Chi, soul, and fate are one. Just as heaven, earth, and heart are one. If you gather power at the plane of Chi, it also affects the higher planes. Therefore, when you gather energy and elevate your realm, your consciousness grows and your lifespan changes. And because Seo Huiol elevated me to the 4-axis stage, my physical body reached the 4-axis level of the Earth tribe, and consequently, my consciousness also attained the level of the 4-axis stage. No, wait. As I quietly observe my soul, I feel something more. This is Seo Lee's spiritual power. It's the realm that Seo Lee had achieved. That's right. He had extracted and condensed my death within his body and then passed it on to me. Seo Lee. Thank you. I won't forget this. Wawoom. As soon as I acknowledge him, I feel the 3 great ultimates more distinctly flowing within my soul. I see. The reason I can regain consciousness during this regression. It might be because I had fully raised the 3 great ultimates to the 4-axis stage. The heavenly being stage and the 4-axis stage are clearly steps to completing the heavenly circle and earthly bearings. So why are they divided into the minor boundary and middle boundary? Moreover, although there is a difference in power between the 4-axis stage and the heavenly being stage, it isn't that significant. Yet, why are the boundaries split between the 4-axis stage and the heavenly being stage? And why does the completely separate heart tribe have 3 stages of manifestation up to the heavenly being stage and 3 steps before the throne for the middle boundary? I feel like I'm starting to understand something. The reason the minor boundary and middle boundary are distinctly separated. From the 4-axis stage onward, there is an overwhelming difference in realms and lifespan compared to the previous stages. The reason is attraction force. As the soul itself begins to generate attraction force, it becomes the first realm resembling fate, thus separating the minor boundary and middle boundary, and the attraction force of the heavens resonates with one's own, allowing for an even longer lifespan. Sutsutsu. While traveling back in time, I try to resist the act of reversing time by moving attraction force. But it's impossible. I can feel that regression is something I can never touch, no matter how much I struggle. Damn, it can't be helped. I decide to quietly wait, entrusting my body to the force pulling me back to the past. While doing so, I observe my soul. What's this? I'm startled as I examine my soul. My soul and my Dharma treasure have completely merged. No, to be precise, even my soul emits energy. And my colorless glass sword is completely synchronized with the energy emitted by my soul. This means I no longer need to drink the white red wine. It has completely synchronized with the energy of my soul. This is the ability of the 4-axis stage. From the 4-axis stage onwards, even if one is killed and the body dissected, the Dharma treasure cannot be retrieved. The Dharma treasure becomes partially merged with the energy of the soul and follows it around. And since it is merged with the energy of the soul, it seems to follow my regression without needing to drink the white red wine. No, perhaps white red wine is actually a method that momentarily makes the Dharma treasure resemble the connection of a 4-axis stage cultivator's Dharma treasure. That is probably the case. I won't need to worry about obtaining white red wine anymore. However, there is something more concerning than the colorless glass sword. The soul-bearing flower given by Yu Hao Te and the clear scale armor are also merged with my soul. The soul-bearing flower was already a flower entwined with the plane of soul, so I expected this. But I didn't expect even the clear scale armor to be connected to my soul. Well, actually, this is that but. What surprises me the most is something else entirely. Axis. The axis of wealth also follows. Yes, surprisingly, the axis of wealth is also following my soul. Come to think of it, the fact that the colorless glass sword is completely merged with my soul itself must be due to the influence of the axis. In reflecting further, Xiao Huiol had removed only his axis from my body while being deprived of control. At the time, I thought it was Xiao Huiol's deep and mysterious divine power, but if the axis is connected to the soul in the first place, it would have been easy for Xiao Huiol to retrieve the 4 axes of 5 blessings because they were connected to his soul. Back then, when I tried to return to the owner of heavenly punishment in front of Xiao Huiol, he blocked me by consuming his axis and then mentioned needing to go to the Blood Yin realm. Xiao Huiol has to go to the Blood Yin realm to replenish his axis whenever it's consumed, so the axes of 5 blessings are not easily obtained and are his precious treasures. He wouldn't have recklessly infused such treasures into my body only to have them taken away. Once an axis is obtained, does it become completely controlled by one's soul? That seems to be the case. Perhaps the difference between the Orthodox Axis Foundation and Heterodox Axis Foundation is that the Heterodox Axis Foundation doesn't synchronize well with the soul because it was taken from someone else. I'm discovering many intriguing facts. As I'm being pulled into the past, I watch the scenes reversing around me. Maybe because I'm traveling back 500 years, the regression is taking some time. Suddenly, while moving backward through time, I look up at what seems to be above and am shocked. That place is the heavens. A vast sky filled with immense darkness. At the center of that sky, the seats, Zoa, of great beings shine like stars in the dark night. As soon as I recognize a total of 10 seats, I feel a shock that seems to shatter my mind. Heek. I can feel it. The power of the seats. I can see the positions of the seats. Amidst the darkness, the clusters of light are centered around 4 lights, with 6 lights positioned around them. And the 4 central stars have rings around their bodies, like the rings around Jupiter or Saturn. Among the 6 stars surrounding the 4 central ones, one also has a ring around it. A total of 5 stars have rings, while 5 stars do not. No, looking closely, something seems off, though I can't pinpoint what's strange. GRRK. While feeling the agony of my soul being crushed, I recognize the aura emanating from the 10 stars. I feel it. Those stars are beings. Those stars are the eyes that look down on the earth from the sky. A being that seems imprisoned somewhere. A being that feels somehow familiar. A being that gives the feel of an unending and boundless hunger. A being that gives a hazy feeling as if in a confusing, dizzying dream. A being that exudes a determination as immovable as a great mountain. A being that feels both extremely familiar and yet simultaneously repulsive. Don't recognize a themdent recognize a themdent recognize a themdent recognize them. I feel the 4 stars that have taken their place in the center. One that gives a hollow feeling of emptiness. One that feels like the owner of the soul-bearing flower. One that seems to be watching me right now. One that seems to be the oldest of all. The moment I feel the last being, I experience a terror and chill I have never felt before. I've been feeling this strange sensation for a while. I now know what this sensation is. The feeling I had when I was briefly stalked by Kim Yun on my way home from work. The feeling that someone is chasing after me. I now understand. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. I can feel it. The will that seems to say there's no longer any need to even bother hiding now that I have noticed. From afar, from the future, time I had passed, Pitch-black darkness is spreading and chasing after me. The oldest one, the death god, the master of the netherworld, the heavenly venerable of the underworld, reversing history, is chasing my regression. Ziyang. The darkness gathers like a hand covering the world and reaches out to me. If it weren't for this peculiar situation of reversing time, it would have been impossible to even perceive the will of the great being, but now it is being conveyed across space-time. Taxidermy, Boydru. Sealing, Feng. Incarceration, Tu. Detainment, Slajan. Endless eternity, Yongshiyingje. Life imprisonment, Wuqi, Tuxing. Ta taxidermy. I would be eternally preserved in the darkness. I would be trapped in the deepest depths of the underworld where no light could ever reach, unable to live or die. No. I think of death as a blessing. But I can never accept something like that. Being unable to die or live, unable to meet anyone, trapped in the deepest abyss of the underworld where no light ever reaches for endless eternity. Even if I die, I can't die trapped by that. I cling even more desperately to the force pulling me into the past with all my might. I have desired death, but not like this. If I'm trapped in a place where I can never meet any connections again, what difference is there between that and regression? Such a thing is absolutely unacceptable. But the hand of darkness chases after me with relentless force. No. Overwhelmed by a fear I have never experienced even once before, I rack my brain for a way to shake it off. In the midst of this, my gaze falls upon the clear scale armor that is following my regression. I can feel it. That clear scale armor is emitting attraction force. Yu Haote. Was it said that what true immortals could give us are only calamity? Perhaps Yu Haote thought he was giving me a blessing. But they are also the tears of He Niang, who was a judge under the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Clinging to the attraction force emitted from those tears, the heavenly venerable of the underworld is pursuing me. I hurriedly sever the link between the clear scale armor and my soul. Thunk. The clear scale armor vanishes to the other side of time. However, even though the attraction force is gone, the hand continues to chase me through time. No. I'm going to get caught. I feel my mind freezing with fear. Then suddenly, my gaze falls on the soul-bearing flower. Yes, the soul-bearing flower. I grasp the soul-bearing flower linked to my soul. Sutsutsu. As I use the soul-bearing flower, a brilliant white light erupts, creating a blinding radiance between me and the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Simultaneously, I feel it will emanate from one of the 10 stars in the dark sky, from the one that feels like the owner of the soul-bearing flower. Displeasure, Wukat. Rage, Junguk. However, the original owner of the soul-bearing flower, though enraged, does not chase after me like the heavenly venerable of the underworld. I vaguely sense that they're hesitant to come here out of fear of the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Pat it. As the light fades, I see the darkness of the owner of the netherworld momentarily blocked. Kuguguguk. Even so, the heavenly venerable of the underworld tries to extend their hand through the light to grasp me, but eventually, perhaps unable to withstand further reversal of time, fails to reach me. Thus, the heavenly venerable of the underworld can no longer chase after my regression and is left in the future. And I fall to the starting point of my 19th cycle. Heek. It's a familiar sky. Around me, John Myung-hoon and Hong Fan are observing the night sea from the mass-produced nether crossing ship. I clutch my chest, wiping away the cold sweat. What chased me just now was not the heavenly venerable of the underworld themselves. At most, it was the heavenly venerable extending one arm towards me. And for a being of that level, I absolutely must not die in front of the heavenly venerable of the underworld. If it was the main body of the master of the netherworld, they might have caught me without needing attraction force, merely by reversing history. 19th return. How will this cycle, which already started with a not-so-smooth regression process, unfold? Chapter 327, Axis 1. Editors, Z0 Rel, Blumengawade, Resnut. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Chapter 327, Axis 1. The first to notice my abnormal state is Hong Fan. Seeing my complexion, Hong Fan quickly approaches and asks, "Master, is there something wrong?" "I'm fine. But, is this the body of a vestige?" "Soon, the vestige's body will collapse, and we will enter the bright cold realm, Pasak." The sky collapses. Following that, the dimensional barrier of the bright cold realm appears before our eyes. 3 forces of attraction. Just like last time, I feel 3 attraction forces grasping my hand. One leads to the flying immortal platform. Another is connected to the Black Ghost Valley. And the last one. Oh, I see. Now I finally understand the identity of the last attraction force. Ancient force, is it? Seat holder of health, deputy judge of the netherworld, ancient force true, Lord He Niang. I felt the same sensation when reading the will left by He Nyong to Lofty Dragon and From Their Tears, the clear scale armor. It's clear. This attraction force leads to the ancient force realm. I ponder for a moment. Should I go to the ancient force realm? It's then, boom, pewhack. Suddenly, the attraction from the ancient force realm intensifies tremendously. This is crazy. The attraction, as if determined to pull me in, wraps around me. Co Eun-hyun, what's going on? Master. John Myung-hoon and Hong Fan look at me in surprise and ask. It seems another middle realm is pulling me in. Although the bright cold realm is somewhat close to the head realm due to the ascension gate, one can still ascend to other realms like Ancient Force, Nether Ghost, True Devil, and Purple Gold as long as one has the qualifications and uses the serving command seal. Considering I am currently in the state of mid-ascension from the head realm, I can still reach the Ancient Force realm without spending much time. What should I do? Should I explore another middle realm? That could be a worthwhile choice. More importantly, there are people like Kim Young-hoon, Book Hyunghwa, and Seo Ran in the Ancient Force realm. Meeting them might not be a bad idea. However, I frown. No, it's not right. There's too much to be done in the bright cold realm to be swept away by this attraction so absurdly. Besides, I still have to find a way to save Kong Min-hee. Let's head to the bright cold realm first. I make my decision and gather my strength. Ying. Currently, my realm in martial arts is at the first step before the throne. My realm in cultivation is at the 4-axis stage of the heaven and earth tribes. Though I possess the axis of wealth, I only possess it. I need to fully reach the 4-axis stage to utilize it properly. Just as Seo Huiol conducted the Axis Foundation practice in the lower realm to acquire the Axis, but his actual power was at the Grand Perfection Heavenly Being stage, I am in a similar state. However, as confirmed during my regression, it's possible for a cultivator at the 4-axis stage to manipulate attraction force using just their soul. My cultivation is at the Heavenly Being stage, but my soul is at the 4-axis stage. Kuguguguk. I manipulate attraction force, breaking free from the ferocious pull of the ancient force realm. Then, approaching John Myung-hoon and Hong Fan, I reach out towards the dimensional barrier of the bright cold realm. Quagwagwagwang. With an explosion of light, we enter the bright cold realm. How many hours have passed since Seo Eun-hyun entered the bright cold realm? Kugugugugugu. A massive, dark red mist squirms outside the dimensional barrier of the bright cold realm, approaching it. Kururum. The dark red entity attempts to approach the bright cold realm, but after being scorched by a colossal heavenly tribulation, it lingers around briefly before retreating. Chwak. I feel the familiar spiritual energy nearby. From a distance, a figure who seems to be an inspector at the 4-axis stage is flying towards us. I speak to John Myung-hoon. John Myung-hoon, are you familiar with the rituals of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect? Yes. What do you need? After the fall of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect in the bright cold realm, paradoxically, he obsessively studied the remnants of the sect. Among them were rituals that can delay heavenly tribulations. Delay the heavenly tribulation for a moment. I have something to do. Without waiting for his response, I sit down and focus my consciousness. Kurung. Dark clouds began to gather in the sky. Just as Azure Tiger Saint, Hyo Gwak, Jean Byuk-ho, and Seo Huiol reached the 4-axis stage upon ascending to the bright cold realm, I will do the same. Using the attraction force generated by my soul, I begin to draw in an immense amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy from the plane of Qi. At the same time, I rise to the 4-axis stage of the Earth tribe using the energy stored in the colorless glass sword. Kugugugu. Damn it. Give me a warning before you do something like this. John Myung-hoon curses but quickly plants the flags of the 7 lightning quaking scripture around and sets up a formation. Quaduk, Pukak. Interacting with the energy of the formation, John Myung-hoon sacrifices 3 of his fingers of his heavenly golden thunder body to temporarily delay the celestial energy. As the celestial energy shifts, the heavenly tribulation that should have struck during the breakthrough is postponed for 3 days. For a moment, it feels as if the dragon veins of the Heaven-Earth Palace are merging with me. I think I understand why Han 1 recuperates in the Heaven-Earth Palace. Harmony, Tauha. The energies of Yin and Yang are harmoniously enveloping each other in a perfectly balanced way. The Taiji quaking lightning body can twist and disrupt the Yin and Yang within an opponent's body, but the dragon vein of the Heaven-Earth Palace seems capable of gradually restoring the twisted Yin and Yang. Quagwagwang. A tremendous roar erupts from my body as radiant light bursts forth. In an instant, I rise to the 4-axis stage. It's a bit lacking. To achieve the 3 great ultimates, I need to use the power of the Ghost King given to me by Seo Lee and rise to the 4-axis stage with Heaven Tribe methods. However, rising with Heaven Tribe methods requires a ritual, which seems difficult at the moment. While I am gauging my strength, Kuguguguk. Han 1 emerges, tearing through the space. You all. Greetings, Penglai Palace Lord. It's been a while. I speak, making eye contact with Han Wan. He glares at me with the supervisory eye. Your manners are lacking. I apologize for that. However, I don't have favorable feelings towards you, so I hope you understand. He glares at me. Despite his fairly dignified and handsome appearance with his top-knot hair tied with a black mansion, his hair is spilling out from between the strands of the top knot, and his eyes look sunken, giving him a very haggard appearance. As Yunwei had said, he seemed to have been quite a handsome man in his youth, but now he is just a worn-out old man. And one more thing. John Myung-hoon, the current highest Grand Elder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, has cancelled the bounty, so there's no need to capture us. That's right. We won't be pursuing Seo Eun-hyun anymore. But Seo Eun-hyun, what kind of tone is that towards a grand cultivator? John Myung-hoon speaks with some courtesy, while looking at me with disapproval due to my attitude. Han Won glances at us briefly before nodding and turning around. I immediately open my mouth and draw out the colorless glass sword, and Han Won turns back around, swinging his hand at me as if he has been waiting for this moment. Flash. A palm-shaped energy wave imbued with the power of the 5 elements fly towards me. I infuse the All-Heaven sword into the colorless glass sword and deflect Han Won's strike into the sky. Thud. Quong. The sky shakes, revealing the wavering protective barrier that envelopes the entire Heaven-Earth Palace. John Myung-hoon is flabbergasted by the sudden turn of events, while I smirk at Han Won. What's with the sudden ruckus? Han Won stares at me briefly. Giving me a glare, he snaps his fingers. Snap. Boom. The space twists, and before I know it, we are outside Heaven-Earth Palace due to Han Won's ground-shrinking technique. To be honest, I don't like you lot. Despite my goodwill in supporting the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, you still caused its downfall again. What? John Myung-hoon's face turns livid with anger at those words. However, Han Won, ignoring John Myung-hoon, continues to glare at me as he speaks. But regardless, you are still valuable forces of the human race, so I can't just kill you. Since I've lost all my investment in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, you'll have to compensate for my loss by enduring my one strike. If you can withstand it, I will forgive you and disregard the lost investments and support. No, what nonsense is this? Do you even know what investing means? John Myung-hoon roars in anger, releasing red lightning, while I chuckle at Han Won's words. Ha ha ha. As I burst into laughter, both John Myung-hoon and Han Won stare at me. This is hilarious. What? If we endure a strike, you will forgive us? Let us go? This bastard really. When we seemed weak, he tried to kill us outright, but now that we seem a little threatening, he changes his tune. Knowing Han Won well, his changed attitude due to my regression irritates me even more. Squish, squelch. I take out Yuan Yu from my bosom and stand him beside me. Then, I push Yuan Yu while holding his shoulder towards John Myung-hoon. Well, fine. Come at me, Grand Cultivator Han Won. Twitch. Han Won's eyes twitch, and he begins to gather attraction into his hands. Good. If that's what you want. It feels as if the yin and yang of heaven and earth are concentrating on Han Won. Let's see. Kagugagu. As I operate the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method, I transform into a giant of stars. My body grows larger, and tremendous power fills my entire being. As if to make it easier to hit me, Han Won floats into the air to match my eye level while preparing the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. In my transformed state, I draw upon the power of the Ghost King gifted by Seo Lee. Although not fully at the 4-axis stage of the Heaven Tribe, by overlaying General Seo's circuits over my body and amplifying the Heaven Tribe power, I can temporarily exert the strength of one. Kugagugagugu. Faces begin to sprout from my shoulders. Kaiawea. Huawea. Huawea. Ghostly wails echo as 18 faces sprout from my starry giant's shoulders. This is crazy. What is that? A monster from the interdimensional void has invaded. The Heaven-Earth Palace Lord is going to slaughter the monster. Palace Lord, please, do not lose. As the giant of starlight with 19 heads appear, the cultivators at the 4-axis and heavenly being stages within the Heaven-Earth Palace scream in terror. Wying. Although the power of the Heaven Tribe has only been forcibly amplified using the Mad Lord's circuits, it's enough to summon the 3 great ultimates for a brief moment. Kuguguguk. Despite being somewhat unstable, the symbol of the colossal 3 great ultimates blooms like a halo behind the 19 heads. From below, even John Myung-hoon shows a slightly uneasy expression at this grotesque sight. Chulalalala. The heaven and earth spiritual energy envelopes me. At the same time, gathering black and white immortal devil energy in his hands, Han Won's eyes brightened. Here I come. Do not regret this. Come if you dare. Kugagugagu. Great mountain. Immense power radiates from Han Won's hands. However, I look at Han Won and smirk. Pasazasak. Salt sprouts from my hands. I channel all of the volcanic power of the three great ultimates into my hands. I've always wanted to try this at least once. Chuckling inwardly, I concentrate the power of the Een Soul Ghost incantation and White Orchid Blessing incantation in both hands. Then, mimicking Han 1, I shout, "Great Mountain." Surprise and bewilderment flashes in Han 1's eyes. His gaze vividly screams, "You bastard! What kind of sorcery is this?" I grin and extend my hands towards Han 1. As expected, the barrier of Yin and Yang 5 elements emerges around him as well. Han 1 grits his teeth and extends his hand towards me. Splitting Emperor, flash. The world is dyed white. Hot. In a space left with nothing else but light. Two beings are clashing with their powers. A starry giant with 19 heads and a halo behind it. And a dignified middle-aged man with a top knot wearing a black mansion, surrounded by the energies of Yin and Yang. At some point, as the power of the two beings reach their peak and the boundaries between the two become blurred within the light, they see something within each other. The giant of stars with 19 heads sees a name in the direction of Han 1. The name is Cheon Ra, Heavenly Net. Quadudaduk. From the body of the starry giant with 19 heads, numerous bizarre rocks, trees, and soil sprout as the giant begins to transform into the great mountain, Toshan. Conversely, the dignified middle-aged man with the top knot sees a certain shape in the direction of the giant. It's an inverted cone. POCOC. A salt pillar begins to grow from throughout the middle-aged man's entire body. Both beings, having seen something terrifying within each other, scream simultaneously. Chapter 328, Axis, 2. Translator, Translating Novice. Editors, Z0rel, Blue Mango Ade. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. The light fades away. Kagugugu. A massive mountain plummets to the ground. No, it's a giant who has sprouted a mountain from its body. Sheol Peak. Simultaneously, a middle-aged man with a salt pillar growing from his body also falls to the ground. For a while, both focused on shedding the bizarre foreign substances that have sprouted from their bodies. POCOC. Kua. The middle-aged man, Han 1, tears at the salt that has grown on his body, regenerating himself. At the same time, the giant, Seo Unhyun, also tears off the mountain ranges that have sprouted from his body. Han 1 is the first to recover. After tearing off all the salt chunks and completely regenerating his body, he glares at Seo Unhyun. "You're someone who shouldn't be left alive. Why Yang?" Han 1's arms begin to emit attraction force again. Seo Unhyun growls, his 38 eyes glowing. "What are you saying? Didn't you say you would forgive and let us go if I took a hit?" "Sorry, but I don't remember that." Han 1 smirks and once again prepares the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique with both arms. "I don't know what kind of secret art allowed you to mimic my Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique, but disappear." Cook. Seo Unhyun, with a hurried face, brushes off the mountains growing on his body and gathers attraction force in his hands again. However, he displays a frustrated expression. "I can't use it consecutively?" "I see, it's a matter of proficiency." Proficiency. The reason Han 1 can perform continuous attacks with the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique is that he has been mastering it for tens of thousands of years. Even for someone like Seo Unhyun, it's impossible to freely use the supernatural powers of a technique he has only just acquired. In fact, the only reason that he had been able to use the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique even once after seeing the technique formula is because he is a heaven and earth dual cultivation practitioner, is well-versed in Yin and Yang, has mastered all 5 elements, and has all the conditions met through the Een Soul Ghost incantation and the White Orchid Blessing incantation. Typically, just seeing the formula alone would never allow one to use the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. Kagugugu. Han 1 gathers his energy. To make matters worse, Seo Unhyun is currently struggling to move due to the rebound effect from seeing the name through using the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. It's a moment of life and death. At that moment, Yuan Yu, who is next to John Myung-hoon, moves. Surung. In Yuan Yu's hand, the All Heavens sword appears. Shakak. Once is enough. To divert Han 1's concentration while he is intensely focusing on preparing the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique, just once is sufficient. Chwak. A wound of all of heaven's colors appears on Han 1's body, struck by the sword energy of the All Heavens sword. He turns around hurriedly to look at me, and I smile brightly as I speak. It seems I know quite a few miscellaneous techniques. When I had grabbed Yuan Yu's shoulder earlier and sent him to John Myung-hoon, I left a heart essence avatar inside him, just in case of moments like this. Woo-woo. I emerge from Yuan Yu's body and stand in front of Han 1. Chiak. There are a total of 24 heart essence avatars that I had placed in Yuan Yu's body. Just now, one of them was used to warn Han 1. Keep your promise, Penglai Palace Lord. We would like you to let us go now. Surely. I trust you are not someone who goes back on promises spoken with your mouth. With burning eyes, Han One glared at me and spat out his words. At my words, Han One glares at me with burning eyes and spits out his words. You even turn out to be a Valhart tribe spy. Now I have one more reason to not let you go, so why should I? I sigh and say, I may have learned the techniques of the Heart tribe, but I am clearly of the human race. I may be associated as a Valhart tribe, but I am not a spy. More importantly, as someone who has reached the 4th stage of manifestation, I would be acknowledged as a genuine force even by the Grand Cultivator Association. How can those who have learned the Heart tribe method not be Heart tribe spies? Recognized by the Grand Cultivator Association, you say? You dream big. Why ying? Han One laughs mockingly at me as he gathers black and white immortal devil energy in his hands. There's precedent, so why wouldn't they recognize it? I will say it again, keep your promise. What precedent are you talking about? I will say it again, you will all die here. I click my tongue while looking at him. Words won't work, huh? Sut. Out of the 23 remaining Heart Essence avatars, 22 of them enter one clone. One move per avatar. I have warned you multiple times. Pot. Around me, the barrier of yin-yang and 5 elements swirls. And then, Han One shouts, Great Mountain, Taoshan. I take the starting form, countering his technique with my own ultimate move, Severing Mountain, Diet. Though there's no need to shout technique names in martial arts, in this case, I shout to signify my resolve to crush Han One's will to kill us. Han One's single strike bursts from his hands, and my 22 sword strikes combine, tearing through heaven and earth with a brilliant burst of light. Take this. Each strike is equivalent to the full power of an integration stage Grand Cultivator. Combining those strikes into the framework of swordsmanship, I maximize their power and unleash them in a single ultimate move. I see Han One's entire being, and even his domain within his soul, being shredded by the strike. Of course, in exchange, my entire body is being dismantled. I will likely scatter into 7 types of energy and vanish. But this is just a clone, so it doesn't matter. He should blame himself for foolishly using his ultimate move on a clone. Despite accusing me of being a Heart tribe spy, it seems he has little actual combat experience against them. All the Heart Essence avatars I had imbued into Yuan Yu through his shoulder have disappeared, and I see Han One, struck by the avatar's ultimate move, right before my eyes. Chi-yi, my body returns to human form. It appears maintaining the giant form with the incomplete 3 great ultimates is too much of a strain on my body. Kughook, Jeek, Geo. You must not have fought the Heart tribe much. But even so, did you not even think to ask her, your fellow Grand Cultivator, about it? Kurluk, Kiehyok, Heek, what are you talking about? Well, never mind. Are we going to continue? Ying. I gather attraction force in both hands and ask. My energy has recovered. I can use the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique again. Moreover, if you wish, I can perform the slash you just saw as many times as needed. Of course, it's a bluff. No matter how strong the 4-axis stage body is, delivering the first step before the thrown strike 22 times consecutively is extremely difficult. Even though it isn't completely impossible to use it to some extent other than 22 times, expecting the same power as before is unrealistic. Above all, the biggest problem is Chionare Tenlo. The moment I recognized that name, I was engulfed in immense fear. It's that existence. The being that exudes a determination as immovable as a great mountain. One of the 10 seats I saw during my regression. It's definitely them. That is certainly their true name, Jinming. But it's strange. Both Han One and I should have recognized something terrifying, yet neither of us seems severely affected. Why? It's clear that Han One had seen it, too, given that he turned into a pillar of salt. However, he recovered too easily. Moreover, Chionare is undoubtedly a current governing immortal. Yet, how can I remain so unaffected even after knowing their true name? When I learned the names of deceased true immortals like Yu Hao Te and He Niang, I was severely affected. Most importantly, Yunwei casually mentioned the name Chionare. At that point, I begin to get confused. Are they not the owner of the seed I saw during my regression? Is it just a name that exudes similar energy? In any case, the crucial point is that I can no longer delay. If I drag it out any further, I don't know what kind of existence would notice me. Do you want to continue, Penglai Palace Lord? Pat it. Light bursts forth from both arms, and salt begins to emerge. Han One flinches at this sight and grits his teeth before speaking. Fine. I will keep my promise. Go. A wise decision. I nod and immediately begin moving with John Myung-hoon and Hong Fan. Han One groans as he heals his ravaged body with the energy of the Heaven-Earth Central Territory. Cuff. Damn it. If it weren't for the seizure of the supervisory eye. He groans, clutching his eyes. The character for supervision, Jan, In both of Han One's eyes are burning exceptionally brightly. Heavenly King, Heavenly Domain. Within a palace of light where radiance of all colors converge, under the seat of radiance, 8 shadows are gathered. The 8 colossal beings communicate with one another using metaphysical language. Each time they exchange words, the light of the entire heavenly domain fluctuates. In front of the throne they reside. An entering nirvana true person in the form of a Feng bird flies in. Though even one wing of the Feng bird is originally large enough to cover a continent, it appears no bigger than a small sparrow before the shadows. To the honorable ones, I bring a message. While observing the Earth axis heavenly domain, the mountain god has sent a message. The 8 shadows converse in metaphysical language for a moment before one speaks to the entering nirvana true person in the language of the lower world to prevent them from going mad. Speak. Yes. The mountain god has said, I will descend to the sun and moon heavenly domain. The true person struggles to not directly face the 8 shadows and delivers the message. A commotion arises among the 8 shadows. The entire heavenly king heavenly domain trembles. One of the shadows, mindful of preventing the entering nirvana true person from going mad, asks, Is that all? Yes, I apologize, but after delivering that message, they began exerting their power in the Earth axis heavenly domain. It seems they intend to descend to the sun and moon heavenly domain at any moment. Relay that it is forbidden. Also, ask if they are unaware of the matter of heavenly punishment. Pardon. The entering nirvana true person is startled by the command from the shadows to deliver such a message. Considering the temperament of the mountain god, it's akin to telling the true person to go and die. Nevertheless, the entering nirvana true person grits their beak and nods. I will obey the command. The Feng bird then leaves the throne of light. How much time has passed? The Feng bird does not return. The shadows communicate in metaphysical language once more. The gist of their conversation is roughly as follows. The messenger bird has not returned. It must have been killed by that tyrant. Do they truly wish for the radiant supreme deity to take action? No matter how powerful the mountain god is, do they not know that without being a heavenly venerable, they cannot compare to the seed of light? This might be for the best. Does the mountain god not have an old grudge with us that needs to be resolved? Must we imprison another supreme deity? It's a laborious task. We already warned 40,000 years ago that interference in the sun and moon heavenly domain is forbidden. It's already been 120,000 years since the power of light was last shown. It seems everyone is underestimating the owner of light. It's about time for the owner of light to act. The 8 shadows look up at the seed of light above them. As the owner of light has decreed, we shall convey to the mountain god. Shortly after, the 8 shadows disappear from the hall. Only the seed of light continues to emit an even brighter radiance from above. Flinch. I suddenly look up at the sky. For some reason, I feel a chill run down my spine. But as the sunlight brightens, the ominous feeling that had brushed past me fades away. What was that? It passed too quickly for me to dwell on, but I decide to remain vigilant. Han One might suddenly chase after me from behind. The Mad Lord might emerge from the ground. Or Sio Huil. Ho ho, greetings, Taoist Sio. Ah yes. Actually, I was about to call you. I look at Sio Huil, who has approached me at some point with an unpleasant smile. Ho ho, it's impressive that you noticed my concealment technique. By the way, you've reached the 4-axis stage already. Hong Fan, John Myung-hoon. Cover your ears for a moment. They obediently cover their ears at my words. I look at Sio Huil, who has appeared in front of me with a disturbing laugh. In my past life, he only came when I called, but now he spoke to me first without my beckoning. The reason is obvious. Are you surprised that the tainted soul filling the heavens within me has disappeared? Sio Huil? Freeze. Sio Huil's body stiffens. If you want, I'll give you another chance. Try again. You can sacrifice a few personalities if needed. I spread my arms and speak nonchalantly. Then, Sio Huil's eyes turn into those of a reptile. Ho ho. If he tries to parasitize me again, I can incinerate him with the karmic fire burning within me. If he doesn't attempt to parasitize me out of caution, I can manipulate him as I wish. You've enjoyed using others for a long time, haven't you, Sio Huil? Now it's my turn. Chapter 329, Axis 3. Translator, Translating Novice. Editors, Z0 Rel, Blue Mango Ade. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. A brief standoff occurs between Sio Huil and me as we lock eyes. Sio Huil seems to gaze at me for a moment before smiling faintly. Ho ho, you seem to be a fellow Taoist. As expected, is Taoist Sio also someone from above? He chuckles and points towards the sky. Above, you say? I shrug, pretending not to understand, and Sio Huil chuckles as if to say not to joke around. Ho ho, I came here knowing everything, Taoist. Since you've come to the Saha world, it would be wise to accept my help. If you know about tainted soul filling the heavens, you would know that as long as it exists, this world revolves around me. He extends his hand towards me with a gentle expression. An immortal art that makes the world move according to my desire. As Taoists should already know, as long as this immortal art exists, it's overwhelmingly advantageous to join forces with me, no matter what your goal is. Ho, please, tell me, what is your purpose here? But I scoff. So, you're not even going to attempt brainwashing. Ho, attempting to use immortal arts recklessly on someone of your standing could lead to serious trouble, would it not? As I look at Seo Huil, I roll my eyes. I feel it. Having experienced Seo Huil before, I know. His configuration is imprinting itself in me. At this rate, I will be consumed by Seo Huil at some point, just like in my previous life. If it weren't for me falling and escaping Seo Huil's grasp once, I would never have noticed. So, this thing you're imprinting now, should I think of it as a communication device? Seo Huil flinches slightly at my words, then smirks. As expected, you figured it out right away. Stop joking around. If you want to genuinely collaborate, show some sincerity. I speak coldly, glaring at Seo Huil. He laughs as if he can't help it. Ho, I apologize. As you know, I have a bit of a playful nature. Who are you? I am Bloodine. Oh, Bloodine. I squint my eyes. Does a guy who calls himself Blood not even sense the karmic fire burning in my soul? What an absurd statement. Of course, I know this guy has some kind of relationship with Bloodine, who is suspected to be a leftover of Yu Hao Te. He mainly uses devilish arts that originate from Bloodine. I reply with a sardonic smile. It's the first time I've heard that the Bloodine originating from the noble Yu Hao Te is playful. Ho, it seems my personality changed a bit after I got a new name. I glare at Seo Huil, feeling the configuration still writing and expanding its domain within my mind. I have one question, Seo Huil. If he takes over my soul, he will immediately be burned by karmic fire, and if he doesn't, I can manipulate him accordingly. I ask without feeling any urgency. What do you think about the Chion Ra? Tolo? At my question, Seo Huil asks back as if confused. Who are you referring to? You call yourself Bloodine and don't even know Chion Ra? At my question, Seo Huil smiles brightly. Ho, of course I know. But as you know, they are not something I can mention carelessly, no? Seo Huil points above again, as if hinting at some secret, but I find it ridiculous. So he's basically saying, I don't know what you're talking about, so let's just skip this part because it's difficult to talk about it here, huh? I smile even more sarcastically and speak. Then, you must also not know much about the events related to the governing immortals 40,000 years ago. Ho, governing immortals. Yes, the governing immortals. Those beings higher than the netherworlds. Chief Judge Nether Devil True, Lord Yu Hao Te. Reincarnation Judge Nether Ghost True, Lord Yu Su Ryan. And Deputy Judge Ancient Force True, Lord Hei Nyong. The heavenly venerable of the underworld, who dispatched the tribunal, including the lofty dragon True Person, to the sun and moon heavenly domain. The heavenly venerable who opposes the heavenly venerable of the underworld, Sal Tree heavenly venerable, and those other great and honorable seat holders. Mentioning great beings will inevitably draw their attention. However, considering that I already encountered the heavenly venerable of the underworld when meeting Yang Sujin's remnant thoughts by this point, he will undoubtedly be watching me already. And regarding the Sal Tree heavenly venerable, trusting in Yu Hao Te's words of their generous and lenient nature, and knowing that they fear the heavenly venerable of the underworld, I mention them believing that since the heavenly venerable of the underworld is already watching me, the Sal Tree heavenly venerable would not do anything to me. I feel like my head could explode at any moment, but I can endure it because I had built my resistance to these names in my previous life. However, Seo Huil only smiles for a long time in response to my words and remains silent. What's the matter, self-proclaimed bloody Taoist? I smile sardonically and approach Seo Huil, placing my hand on his shoulder. If you are truly Bloodine, are they not your dear superiors? Listening a little more about governing immortals might. At that moment, clench. Seo Huil suddenly reaches out and grabs my shoulder. Flinch. I'm startled, but at the same time, a triumphant smile spreads across my face. Have you made up your mind, Seo Huil? Well, I understand. You truly are a true immortal. Chit. A serious light flickers in Seo Huil's eyes. I have always regarded you as a subject of vigilance, but now I must elevate you to a target of danger. Indeed, he's decided to brainwash me. Go ahead, Seo Huil. Brainwash me completely and burn in the karmic fire. I smile faintly, having laid a trap for Seo Huil. I can feel it. Through the configuration Seo Huil imprinted in me, Seo Huil's personalities begin to infiltrate within me. Jiaying. I first protect my heart essence and hide it deep within the depths of my mind. Simultaneously, as I become immobilized, Co Huiol reaches out to my head. The observing John Myung-hoon and Hong Fan try to intervene, but Co Huiol does not stop. Clench. He places his hand on my head. Personalities of the tainted soul filling the heavens rush to infiltrate my body. Through those personalities, Co Huiol begins speaking to me. Since my goal is to surpass them anyway, I will test it through you. Co Huiol, who grasps my head, starts pouring energy into it. The energy enters through the Bai point, piercing the center of my brain where the pituitary gland is, then circles my upper dantian once before erupting through my glabella. It's a familiar mind-awakening spell. Originating from the Black Ghost Valley, it was transmitted to the Sea Dragon tribe, with whom they had fought for many years, and from there to the Mokli clan and Jin clan influenced by them. It was associated with talent awakening and fundamentally served as a spell that clears the mind cast in the Sea Dragon Palace. Why use a mind-clearing spell during brainwashing? Ah, I see. I now finally understand why Co Huiol used such a mind-clearing spell. Why Yang? This spell isn't to clear the mind of the brainwashing target. It's a spell to clear and strengthen the mind of Co Huiol's personality formed within the target's mind. I see. Tainted soul filling the heavens is an immortal art that replaces the target with oneself. Depending on the situation, it could implant multiple personalities, 2, 3, even dozens. When brainwashing a powerful target, it aims to clear and strengthen the minds of the multiple implanted personalities to quickly dominate the target's mind. The reason such a spell was set up in the Sea Dragon Palace is obvious. It was to easily implant the tainted soul filling the heavens on anyone entering the Sea Dragon Palace. And I realized that Co Huiol is genuinely expending a significant number of personalities from the hundred of millions he possesses. This bastard. Jithi Thrang. Grade 1 dangerous entity identified. Commencing brainwashing. Attempting to consume 400 selves. This is somewhat dangerous. Kuguguguk. A tiny fraction of the hundreds of millions of Co Huiols. Merely 400 or so, but these personalities are all being systematically implanted into me, sacrificing themselves to replace me with Co Huiol, with the replaced Co Huiol's mind gradually clearing. Kugugugugu. Although I haven't collapsed yet, the domain of my heart essence begins to shake, and I realize that if the number of implanted Co Huiol personalities exceed 1,000, even my heart essence world wouldn't be guaranteed. No. But at the same time, through contact with Co Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens, I realize that there is something even more truly frightening. Co Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens is still incomplete. There is still one condition left for the true, tainted soul filling the heavens to activate, and I can sense that Co Huiol hasn't triggered that condition yet. Chills. How spine-chilling. This damned guy. Co Huiol, who at some point already imprinted his configuration into John Myung-hoon's brain, is using John Myung-hoon to subdue Hong Fan while slowly brainwashing me. When the proportion of Co Huiol within my soul exceeds 70%, crackle. I faintly hear the sound of embers sparking. I smile within my heart essence. Come on, feel it. Crack, crackle, crackle. Huaruru. Co Huiol flinches and shudders. My karmic fire clings to Co Huiol, who is trying to seize me. Last time, he severed the connection with tainted soul filling the heavens while being wary of me. But this time, fully determined to brainwash me, Co Huiol himself directly connected the tainted soul filling the heavens to me. Huaruruk. My karmic fire originally only burns me. It doesn't particularly transfer to others. However, Co Huiol is trying to steal me to make me become him. Thus, the karmic fire begins to transfer directly to Co Huiol, to his tainted soul filling the heavens. Qua. John Myung-hoon screams. The karmic fire nested in his mind ignites. The one who had subdued Hong Fan is now being supported by Hong Fan, while I laugh as I watch Co Huiol start to burn fiercely in front of me. Co Huiol, with karmic fire clinging to his tainted soul filling the heavens, can't overcome his own terrible karmic sins and falls away from me. Ku. Ho. You're still laughing, huh? How disgusting. I smirk as I regain control of my body with my eyes glowing. Co Huiol's configurations, still burning, lingers within my mind. But Co Huiol hastily severs the connection between tainted soul filling the heavens and the personalities imprinted in my mind. However, I smirk again. Have a taste of the vile Heart Tribe. Surung. It's interesting. The Heart Tribe's first step before the throne and Co Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens have similarities. They are quite similar in the sense that both can imprint themselves onto their opponent. I forge my heart essence, holding the heart essence avatar of myself imbued with Co Huiol's configurations in my hand. All Heaven's Sword. Single strike. Boom. The All Heaven's Sword pierces Co Huiol at a speed he can't even react to, embedding itself inside him. And then, I forcibly reconnect the burning configurations of Seo Huiol within it to Seo Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens. Kuerger. Seo Huiol trembles in pain while starting to retrieve the 4-5 blessings axes of health, wealth, longevity, and love of virtue within his body. It seems he is trying to disconnect this body entirely from the tainted soul filling the heavens. However, I laugh again. No, you cannot. Because I won't allow it. Kuguguguk. I use the wealth axis within me to emit an attraction force. My attraction force captures Seo Huiol's attraction force, sealing it within his body. Finally, the smile disappears from Seo Huiol's face. Seo Huiol hastily forms hand seals and begins to flee. Pat it. He who transforms into his original sea dragon form hurriedly tries to escape from me. If he gets far enough from me, he could break the attraction curse I placed on him, reclaim his 5 blessings axes, and sever the connection with tainted soul filling the heavens to stop the spread of the karmic fire. However, I smile coldly. I told you, Seo Huiol. A glint shines from my eyes. Flash. In an instant, I become a flash of light. Seo Huiol tries to escape by even using the ground shrinking technique, but it's useless. Ho huck, ho ho, you can't escape. Clench. I quickly lunge and grab Seo Huiol's tail. He seems to try to sever his own tail, but I invoke the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method. Kugwagwagwa. My body transforms into a giant of stars. I grip his tail and start swinging him around. Wham, 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 wham. Cuff. Seo Huiol seems to attempt using his demon abilities to break free. Boom. I slam him to the ground, still holding onto his tail. Kugugugugugu. The ground shakes violently, causing earthquakes everywhere. Ho ho, such an attack. Only tickles me. Oh really? Since you seem to like it, I'll tickle you more. Ho ho. Seo Huiol opens his mouth and shoots a beam of light at me. Quagwagwagwan. Indeed, the breath of the dragon race is certainly powerful. I momentarily lose hold of Seo Huiol, and he starts to flee again. Kuduk, kadudug, kadudududuk. Faces begin to sprout from my shoulders once more. Stop right there. Quagwagwagwan. I chase after him, the 3 great ultimates glowing behind me. In an instant, we cross the Heaven-Earth Central Territory and traverse through the territories of numerous races. Spirit Scale Race Territory. There, I finally caught Seo Huiol again. Somehow, it seems he has managed to drive out the karmic fire by sacrificing personalities. The karmic fire no longer burns within him. That won't do. Boom. Chwack. I swing the All-Heavens sword again, forcibly reconnecting the karmic fire to his tainted soul filling the heavens. Cuff. Seo Huiol's eyes are bloodshot. The karmic fire doesn't just cause him personal pain. It truly harms his tainted soul filling the heavens. He might really be feeling fear. It won't be easy. Flash. He opens his mouth and shoots a beam of light again. But I don't back down, and from my 38 eyes, I shoot beams infused with ghostly energy in response. Quagwagwagwan. The beams we emit shake the territory of the Spirit Scale Race. The Spirit Scale Race members in the area scream and flee in all directions. While monsters are fighting. Just what race is that? Damn it. Is that monster hunting the sacred dragon race to eat? Just run, or we'll be eaten too. To an onlooker, it might certainly look like a malevolent starry giant with 19 heads hunting a blue dragon. But such trivial matters are none of my concern. I grab Seo Huiol by the neck and bring him close to my face. Seo Huiol, do you not wish to learn more about the governing immortals? Do you not have any interest in the vast cold heavenly lord or the purple gold heavenly lord? If you wish, I can tell you more about the tribunal of the netherworld. Yu Hao Te, Yu Su Ryan, Hei Nyan. Are you not curious about the salt pillar in the head realm? I have the astronomical data observed from the head realm interpreted through the understanding before breakthrough insights of the heaven tribe methods. Let me tell you about it. I also have knowledge gained from directly facing heavenly punishment. Whisper, 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 whisper. Grabbing the bastard's head so he can't escape. I endlessly whisper great knowledge with my 19 heads. Seo Huiol struggles, like mad, to escape from me, but he can't escape from someone who inherited the teachings of Azure Tiger Saint. At the same time, with my heart essence burrowing all heaven's sword, I begin to dig through the depths of his tainted soul filling the heavens. I'll find it. I tear into the depths of his tainted soul filling the heavens, to find the real clue that will completely overthrow Seo Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens. And just then, I sense it, at the center of the tainted soul filling the heavens. There is something there, hidden in the deepest, darkest depths. I can feel what he desires to conceal. That is, I see Seo Huiol. My 38 eyes glow with glint. I see you. Have a main body, don't you? Somewhere in this world, Seo Huiol's main body exists. No, should I even call it his main body? There exists a central point around which all the personalities of his tainted soul filling the heavens revolve. I can instinctively feel it. If I destroy this central point, his tainted soul filling the heavens will scatter. And then, Seo Huiol's expression, which has been trying to maintain a playful smile, completely changes. Expressionless. He looks at me with eyes devoid of any emotion. Very well. I have lost. Then, quadadudaduck. His body begins to transform. A scarlet blood mist envelopes him. Seo Huiol transforms from the appearance of a divine sea dragon into the shape of a devilish monster, emitting a red-black aura in an instant. Chwararurik. Seo Huiol's body stretches and extends, wrapping around me like a rope. Since the mad Lord Zhou Yun. Crack. Seo Huiol, wrapping around my body, speaks in an emotionless voice. No one has ever disrupted my plans as much as you have. From now on, I will devise plans to destroy you along with Zhou Yun. Rejoice. Haha, do as you wish. I laugh, staring into his eyes. I will find your main body. With my eyes blazing with ghost fire, I meet Seo Huiol's gaze, which emanates devilish energy. I will find your main body and utterly annihilate you. Because of Seo Huiol, because of his schemes, how many lives have been ruined? Zhou Yun, Gurian, Seo ran. He even tried to make his own subordinate, Yuan Li, into a puppet. And because of that Yuan Li, I lost too much. Grade 1 dangerous entity, Seo Unhyun. Thanks to you, my plans will be delayed by thousands of years. The 5 blessings axes will be abandoned. Kugugugugu. I feel it. This is certainly dangerous. The 5 blessings axes within Seo Huiol are emitting light. Drawing upon the power of the 3 great ultimates, I fill my hands with black and white energy. Flash. Seo Huiol detonates all of his 5 blessings axes, and I counter his self-destruction at the cost of my cultivation with the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. This time, the barrier of yin-yang and 5 elements protects me. Finally, I've got a clue on how to destroy you, Seo Huiol. While self-destructing and channeling the energy of his self-destruction towards me, I can feel Seo Huiol's will to destroy me. Just like in the previous cycle, when I felt Seo Huiol's determination to unquestionably destroy the Mad Lord when he went for the confirmation kill on the Mad Lord who suffered at the hands of Jangik, I can now see his unwavering resolve to eliminate me by any means necessary. Yes, I have finally become Seo Huiol's equal adversary. Chapter 330, Axis 4. Translator, Translating Novice. Editors, Z0rel, Blue Mango Ade. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Light fades away, and I realize that my body is in shambles. Damn, I feel like I'm going to die. However, I feel as if my spirits are soaring. I can tell. Seo Huiol has truly suffered significant damage from me. Although he's someone who never speaks the truth, it's true that his plans have been greatly delayed. Since he sacrificed the 5 blessings axes he cherished so much, he will be running around to retrieve them again. Given the damage inflicted on him by the karmic fire, he won't be able to show his face or act openly for a long time. Cough, cough. I collapse to the ground, vomiting blood. In the distance, I can sense the presence of several spirit scale race members. It seems they are coming to investigate as the presence of the monsters has faded. I don't have the strength to even move a finger. The spirit scale race isn't particularly friendly with the human race, so it would be quite troublesome if they capture me. Of course, I have means to escape even in my weakened state, but I continue to stay down. Quarum. Red lightning flashes as John Myung-hoon clicks his tongue in irritation. This bastard. Can't you at least say something before you act? The karmic fire attached to Seo Huiol through me has already gone out within John Myung-hoon. The karmic fire is originally meant to burn only me. It was only due to the peculiar situation of Seo Huiol trying to take over my very existence that it burned others. Hence, it isn't strange that the fire has already been extinguished within John Myung-hoon. Hong Fan, who has flown in with John Myung-hoon, helps me up. We'll head to the human race territory first, but we should perform some emergency treatment before that. What emergency treatment? A good night's sleep will fix everything. If you rely solely on your vitality, just because you've reached the 4-axis stage, you'll end up in trouble. Hong Fan takes out some poison liquids from his storage scroll and mixes something on the spot before pouring it into my mouth. Instantly, I feel life force surging through my body, an accelerated regeneration. As expected from Hong Fan, who reached the pinnacle in dealing with medicinal poisons, the efficacy of his concoction is remarkable. Now that the treatment is done, let's get out of here. It's risky to stay in another race's territory for too long. John Myung-hoon grabs both Hong Fan and me by our necks and uses the flying escape technique. Quararuru. We are enveloped in a streak of red lightning, flying towards the human race territory. A week passes like that. We arrive at the human race territory and officially register our reascension at Temporal Fate Island. John Myung-hoon, using his authority as Grand Elder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, officially lifts my bounty. Then, we head towards Thunder Spirit Island. Quarum. In my past life, I was assimilated by Seo Huiol and lived in Seo Li's body, so I couldn't find it. Together with John Myung-hoon, I head to the ruins of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect on Thunder Spirit Island, to the place where Hong Su-ryong had died. Though the funeral was held in the lower realm, her remains are actually here. Stomp, stomp. Perhaps it's because I returned her to the soil with the Een Soul Ghost incantation. There's no body at the place where Hong Su-ryong had died. I brushed the soil where she had died. This soil is her remains. John Myung-hoon went to find Jin Sohei's cave residence, and Hong Fan gave us some space for privacy. Creek. Using a wood attribute spell, I create a wooden shovel and slowly dig into the ground, burying the soil infused with her body. I then create a small mound and sit in front of it, pouring a drink. It's been a while. I'm back. Drip. Come to think of it, this is something I should have done immediately upon returning in my past life. But because of Seo Huiol, I didn't even think about it, and passed it by. Is it comfortable there? There's no response. I hope the death god is kind to others, even if he is harsh with us. I wish for your peace after death. Rambling might seem pathetic and unsightly, but maybe such pathetic things are necessary in the life of humans. I ramble and complain for a while in front of her grave. A ghost's resentment accumulates because it cannot be conveyed to the living. Perhaps it's because I am also a ghost who can't die even after death. Just rambling to Hong Su-ryong like this makes me feel a bit lighter. Evening comes. I finally finish my rambles. Anyway, a lot has happened. There's no response. But even though I feel sadness, my heart is at peace. Since the regression point was fixed, my connection with Hong Su-ryong did not vanish beyond time. It didn't disappear into nothingness. I bid farewell to Hong Su-ryong and leave the place of her mound. Hyangwa. What if the regression point had been fixed after her death? Though she wouldn't be alive and moving, the Book Hyangwa that shared a connection with me wouldn't disappear. Suddenly, I remember the feelings Seo Li left me with in my past life, the emotions he felt for me. Even if his body becomes soil, his soul will regress and endlessly repeat life. Even if his body remains here, his soul will move to another time, and he will no longer be able to reminisce about those connections that remember him. Only the records stored in the canvas of myriad forms and connections will comfort Seo Eun-hyun, warmly but sorrowfully. Rustle. Suddenly, the canvas of myriad forms and connections unfold around me naturally. It's full of cherished memories. To others, it might look like empty mist, but to me, they are irreplaceable pillars of my heart. Surik. I reach out to the past figures inside the canvas of myriad forms and connections, those who laughed and chatted, cried and shed tears, and bled and raged. My hand passes through them so emptily. After all, they are just records. I stared at them for a moment, and then I see an annoying gaze inside the canvas of myriad forms and connections. It's Seo Huiol. Regardless of what happened, he is also in here. Ahaha. It must be frustrating for Daoist Seo to have created such a terrifying technique and not be able to use it properly, only to suffer from me. Looking at him, then around the canvas of myriad forms and connections, I set my goal for this life. This life, the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Shall I uncover its secrets? How did Book Hyangwa connect to my canvas of myriad forms and connections? Is she still inside it somewhere? What exactly is the relationship between it and my immortal beast bloodline? Can the canvas of myriad forms and connections counter Seo Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens? There might be a possibility to track his main body through counter-assimilation, so understanding the secrets of the canvas of myriad forms and connections is crucial. And above all, Sararak. I smile bitterly as I look at my hand, which emptily passes through the scenes in the canvas of myriad forms and connections. The memory of watching the sunset with Kong Min-hee at Namsan, which Seo Li wanted to remember so much, brushes past me. I will delve deeper into the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Simply watching it is too sorrowful. Just as Seo Li thought, the canvas of myriad forms and connections is so warm, yet also so lonely. To better feel this warmth, even if it's just a little, the primary goal of this life will be to find a way to manifest the power of the canvas of myriad forms and connections externally. It's a goal connected to the issue of my immortal beast bloodline, countering Seo Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens, and the matter of Book Hyangwa entering the canvas of myriad forms and connections. As of now, it is the most important issue. Save Kim Yun as well, and Kong Min-hee, and Oh Hyun-suk. Now my power is not so lacking. Do I not have at least the qualifications to save those who I want to save? Saving them is not even a goal. Saving them a matter of course, Daran, and doesn't even need to be set as a goal. I rise into the sky and look down towards the direction of John Myung-hoon. He is gazing at the sky with a sentimental expression, gently caressing the wooden box with Jean Sohei's hand in front of her cave residence. Hong Fan. Yes, master. I speak to Hong Fan, who is waiting. I'll be heading to Heavenly Human Island for a while. Tell John Myong-hoon that I've gone to Heavenly Human Island to obtain the Grand Cultivator qualification and give him this method. Yes, I understand. I take out a jade slip from my storage scroll, record the formula for the 6 extremes in Thunder Body, and hand it to Hong Fan. I'll be back in a few days, so make sure he reaches great achievement by then. It appears to be quite a high-level method. If it's a lightning path method, there's nothing the current John Myong-hoon can't learn. Considering that there are things John Myong-hoon must accomplish with the 6 extremes in Thunder Body, it's better for him to learn it in advance. After giving a few more instructions to Hong Fan, I prepare to head to Heavenly Human Island. Kia. Then, I feel goosebumps all over my body once again. What is it? Looking up at the sky, the evening sunset glow seems to brighten alongside the distant rising moonlight. As the light grows brighter, the sensation fades. It's definitely the same feeling I had before meeting Seo Huiol. Is Seo Huiol up to something again? Or is it something else? Keeping my guard up, I continue towards Heavenly Human Island. Earth Tribe, True Dragon Alliance. Haiyan Eum's cave residence. Haiyan Eum, who is transformed into his true form and is meditating, suddenly opens his eyes wide. A subtle blood light, Shigong, emanates from Haiyan Eum's eyes. The main body is communicating? What's going on? Wawoom. Haiyan Eum seems to gaze towards somewhere momentarily. Then, upon recognizing the signal coming from a distant place, his eyes narrow sharply. What? Those beings are going to war? To prevent that from descending upon the sun and moon domain. Fear fills Haiyan Eum's eyes. Chwerarak, instantly transforming from his dragon form into his human form. Haiyan Eum clenches his trembling fists. His hands are already drenched in cold sweat. Those ominous beings fighting each other, it's good news. Even if one side wins, the other won't be able to exert their power for a while. It's a good thing. He tries to calm his trembling voice, forcing himself to imagine a positive outcome as if trying to overcome his fear. At that moment, Haiyan Eum, who seems to be communicating with a distant place, suddenly shivers and looks at the void. Wait, main body, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by laying low for a while? Didn't you say you found traces of authority? Wait, don't cut off communication. Main body, at least give me some instructions. But Haiyan Eum stops moving his hand that was waving towards the void. After a while, he clenches his fists tightly. Damn it. They said they found traces of authority, and now they want to lay low to avoid the fallout. Seemingly enraged, Haiyan Eum suddenly flinches as the moonlight of the deepening night streams into his cave residence, stepping back as if avoiding the light. His hands are trembling like an aspen leaf. Recalling some unpleasant memories, Haiyan Eum grits his teeth. That's right. Perhaps lying low for a while is a good idea. Ho ho ho. He hides himself in the darkness, breathing heavily. Heavenly Lotus Mountain. At the top, above the white jade pavilion, surrounded by white light, Sacred Master Baekwoon is looking at the sky with a shocked expression. This is insane. They're clashing at the borders? Huh. It's fortunate to have become a Sacred Master. The true persons of the astral realm must be screaming in agony by now. Sacred Master Baekwoon, whose hands are trembling, takes a deep breath and forces a bitter smile. This isn't the time to feel relieved. If that tyrant descends, this entire heavenly domain will turn into the Azura path. I must pray for their victory. Haiyan Eum and Sacred Master Baekwoon. Other sacred vessels, sacred masters of the middle realms. True persons of the astral realm. Those who know of the true myths are reading the celestial energy, sensing the movements of unfathomable colossal beings, and trembling in fear. Using the flying escape technique to reach Heavenly Human Island, I suddenly turn my gaze downward, just below Heavenly Human Island. Below there is the Grand Nirvana Temple. I debated whether to enter the Grand Cultivator Association, then see her, but decided to visit the Grand Nirvana Temple first. First, sparring with her and receiving guidance on the first step before the throne, then stabilizing my realm, and then being properly recognized as a Grand Cultivator would be the best course of action, right? Furthermore, due to preventing Seo Huiol's self-destruction, my Heaven Tribe cultivation decreased, leaving me at the mid-heavenly being stage. If possible, it wouldn't be bad to reach Grand Perfection Heavenly Being using the newly obtained formula for the Grand Perfection stage by Seoli. Now that I'm free from Seo Huiol, I can finally understand. Yang Sujin had said that if one blesses In and Yun, they would receive the blessing of the strongest ender. But why did I not know of it, and only receive the blessing of Heavenly Circle's formula through Seoli's body? The reason is simple. The strongest ender had blessed Seo Un Hyun, not Seo Huiol. At that time, Seoli was much less assimilated by Seo Huiol compared to me, and when he obtained the formula, He hadn't fully differentiated into Seo Li, but still recognized himself as Seo Un-hyun, thus allowing him to obtain it. Everything is all because of Seo Huiol. Thinking about it this way makes me angry again. But it doesn't matter. Seo Huiol should be infuriated as well, having lost the 5 blessings axes because of me. I arrive at the valley where the Grand Nirvana Temple is located. Out of respect for her, I decide to land at the entrance of the valley and walk rather than entering the temple directly. I also retract my consciousness into my body, not wanting to be disrespectful by scouting ahead. It's a sign of respect for a martial artist who has reached such a high realm. As I walk through the valley, I feel something strange. Why are the Tinghua paintings gone? Previously, Tae Yeol-jon had painted Tinghuas across the entire valley. But now, the valley looks clean. Feeling a sense of strangeness, I walk through the valley. And when I arrive at the site of the Grand Nirvana Temple, I feel a chill down my spine. The temple still exists, but it appears neglected, dilapidated, and crumbling in places. Thorn bushes have grown all around, and the main gate of the temple is on the verge of collapse. It looks like a haunted house. What happened here? I can't hide my dismay as I enter the Grand Nirvana Temple. The main hall, the Grand Nirvana Hall, is on the verge of collapse due to complete neglect, and piles of garbage are scattered everywhere. I venture inside the Grand Nirvana Hall. The interior of the hall where rituals are held for Buddhism is completely rotten, and the roof had caved in from the lack of maintenance. The room where Tae Yeol-jon had served tea to me and Kim Yun is utterly ruined and in a complete wreck. The once abundant artistic Tinghua paintings are nowhere to be found. At that moment, I suddenly notice a presence somewhere. As I step out of the Grand Nirvana Hall, I hear someone yawning from inside the monks' quarters. I walk to the monks' quarters with hurried steps. Upon closer inspection, I see that the monks' quarters are somewhat maintained and show signs of habitation. Is anyone there? Before entering, I call out towards the presence I feel inside. Bang! Suddenly, the door to the monks' quarters opens. Flinch. A woman with jet black hair is scratching her belly and rubbing her eyes inside. Her hair is disheveled, and it seems she hasn't washed in quite a while as it emits a strange smell. The aura of a nascent soul cultivator emanates from her, likely at the mid-nascent soul stage. Who are you? She looks at me with a sullen face and then flinches. Oop, it's a senior. Please excuse this junior for her unkempt appearance. She seems to gauge my cultivation level, and upon sensing my heavenly being stage spiritual energy, she hurriedly tidies her disheveled hair and hastily straightens her clothes. Please, come in. No, this room is a bit. I'll lead you to the guest room. As if flustered, she hastily moves to guide me to an adjacent room next to the monks' quarters. I stare at her with a stern expression. When I glance into the room she came out of, I see a tremendous mess. It's the exact opposite of where the tidy Tae Yeol-jon used to stay. Even the guest room she leads me to seems quite messy, judging by the sounds of frantic cleaning coming from inside for quite some time. After a while, she invites me in. As senior, everything is ready. Please, come in. I enter, scrutinizing her face with a stern expression. She lowers her eyes fearfully at my stern gaze. Usually, I would have shown some consideration for a lower-level cultivator, but I'm not in the mood for that now. I sit down and look around. Where's the tea? Pardon? Please forgive me, senior. There used to be a tea that my master used to brew, but due to my neglect, it all rotted away 500 years ago. There are no Tinghua paintings in the room. Oh, I apologize, as I haven't received teachings from my master. Actually, I think I have been taught, but as I never practiced it even once, I forgot. I look sternly at this woman who bears the same face as Tae Yeol-jon. She has the same face, but everything about her is different. What is your name? Pardon? Oh, I don't really have a name. I was abandoned here at the Grand Nirvana Temple when I was young, and my master, who was the head monk, took me in and raised me. Master told me to find my parents when I reached the nascent soul stage and didn't give me a dharma name. But when I reached the nascent soul stage and saw my life's flashbacks, I realized my parents didn't name me either and just abandoned me. My master used to call me things like rascal-like thing, dirty thing, or lazy thing. Senior, please call me whatever you like. She scratches her head awkwardly as she speaks. I fail to soften my stern expression, and she cringes further at my stern gaze. Take this one move. Boom. I draw the All-Heavens sword and launch an attack at her at the plane of soul. But she doesn't even recognize the All-Heavens sword, staring blankly at me. Surik. The sword strike from the All-Heavens sword passes right through her. If she were Tae Yeol-jon, she would have gladly accepted the strike. But this woman doesn't even perceive it. Who are you? I glare at her, and I ask. Could the sudden chill I felt when the moonlight brightened earlier be because of this? Terrified by my glare, her head hits the ground as she trembles. Heek, spare me, senior. Even though living is meaningless, I don't want to die yet. I think dying would hurt too much. Could you please spare even a bit of mercy? Her past is exactly as I had heard from Taeyeol-jon. But why is the woman in front of me not the grand cultivator of the first step before the throne, but someone uninterested in Tingwa paintings, who has not even shaved her head as a nun should? Where has her proud demeanor and her simple, unrestrained spirit gone? Is the woman in front of me the strange one? Or was the previous being known as Taeyeol-jon in the last cycle in existence somehow possessed by something? Rather than feeling pity for this woman, I am filled with an unknown fear, raising my vigilance to the maximum and ready to end my life at any moment. Glaring at the woman before me, I ask, I have a question. What method have you learned? Chapter 331, Axis, 5. Editors, Z0rel, Blumengawade, Resnut. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Chapter 331, Axis, 5. B. Buddhist Family Methods. Senior may not have heard of it before. What was it? It's a method system based on beings known as the Seven Brilliances Kings, but it's not a very popular cultivation system, so it's almost obsolete now. It seems that the existence of Buddhist family methods has not completely disappeared. Well, there were temples in the lower realm too. I stare at her for a moment. Fine, let's stop here. I sigh, suppressing my killing intent. It would be impossible for her, Taeyeol-jon, to be acting while deceiving even her own heart essence. Unlike the previous life's Taeyeol-jon's heart essence, hers is chaotic and desolate, like the abandoned temple. What do you think of the Heart Tribe? For example, the heaven-collapsing esteemed one Jangik. Oh, you mean the leader of those spies? No matter how you look at it, she isn't Taeyeol-jon. As I sigh from a headache, I realize I feel a sense of déjà vu from this room. That's right. It's too messy and unmaintained for me to recognize at first. However, this is the room I had come to rest in briefly when I felt dizzy in front of Taeyeol-jon in the previous cycle. Previously, there had been Tingwa paintings all over this room, but now there are none to be found. While looking around, I find the fairy tale book I had seen before. This fairy tale book is still here. It's a children's book based on the theme of sincerity moves the heaven. Everything symbolizing Taeyeol-jon, like the Tingwas, have disappeared, but it appears that Buddhist family methods and such fairy tales still remain. Of course, the book itself seems to have been neglected for a long time. It's worn out in many places and has traces of insects having gnawed at it. The table of contents is familiar. A fairy tale that spread from the head realm. There are fairy tales that have spread, slightly changed here and there, throughout the head realm and even in the bright cold realm. Even when I asked Su-in and Hong Yun before, they said it was in the true devil realm too, showing that places where people live are all the same. They are fundamentally fairy tales with the lesson that sincerity moves the heaven. I miss my master. These were the fairy tales I found in the library when I sought a way to overcome the 7-star ritual with Chongmun Ryon. They are very nostalgic. Wait. Looking at this fairy tale and the current situation where Taeyeol-jon disappeared, I remember something similar in the past that had happened before. Wasn't there a similar incident in the past? Kia. A chill runs down my spine. But for some reason, I can't clearly remember what it is. What is it? Something similar happened before, but I can't recall what it is. Seeing the fairy tale book triggered the memory, so it must be related to this book. Hey. Why yes, senior. I asked this woman from Grand Nirvana Temple. Do you know anything about this fairy tale? Well, aren't they common fairy tales? I once learned the common language of the bright cold realm from my master and read them for fun. They should be in the deep libraries of other sects as well, not just our temple. Actually, they might even be found in ordinary households. I frown, trying to recall the memory that keeps surfacing in my mind. I feel like I'm about to remember something. Fairy tale book. The vanished Taeyeol-jon. This strange sense of incongruity. This fairy tale, is it supposed to end at chapter 7? Shouldn't there be a chapter 8? Pardon. Finally, as I'm flipping through the canvas of myriad forms and connections, I remember the source of this incongruity. I have definitely seen a fairy tale book before that went up to chapter 8, not 7. The first story was definitely not something about a carp or whatever. There is a missing fairy tale from this list. That fairy tale is important. She scratches her head and says, I apologize, I'm not really sure. Well, different regions might have their own contents tailored to their own region. Come to think of it, that is true. The environments of the bright cold realm and the head realm are fundamentally different, so what am I even trying to find? Yet, I can't shake off this bizarre feeling. Something is off, but I don't know what it is. I can't remember. Thump, thump, thump. My heart is pounding. I'm shivering. Just what exactly did I forget? Thump, thump, thump. For some reason, I feel a pain in my heart. This is dangerous. I feel chills down my spine. I feel a strong sense that it will be better for my well-being not to think any further. It's different from the time I mentioned the titles of governing immortals to harm Seo Huiol. An ominous sense of doom coming from deep within my soul dominates me. If I'm not careful, something terrible will happen. Let's not dig any deeper. Maybe, when I reach a higher realm, I'll remember. I decide to bury the unremembered memory for now. Alright, then, I'll be on my way now. After bidding her off, I leave Grand Nirvana Temple with a hardened face. I see. I understand the subtle reaction Han Wan had when he heard that I will be joining the Grand Cultivator Association. In this cycle, Tae Yeoljan doesn't exist. Her joining the Grand Cultivator Association and setting a precedent for the Heart Tribe to join has disappeared. Damn it. I understand why Han Wan let me go so easily. It wasn't just because he lacked the confidence to face me. Although nothing was said in Temporal Fate Island, when I enter Heavenly Human Island, the Grand Cultivators will likely try to capture me. I don't know why, but history itself has been twisted. I have no idea how such a thing is possible. I'm just bewildered. I calm my trembling heart. There's nothing I can do about it anyway. Even if I know that history has been bizarrely twisted, what can I do about it? For now, let's just do what I can. It becomes even clearer to me that I need to hone the power of the canvas of myriad forms and connections. When history twists like this, if I forget about such truths, how terrifying would that be? I need to solidify my own history even more. There's no change in the plan. I will go to the Grand Cultivator Association and be recognized as a Grand Cultivator. Even though the existence of Tae Yeoljan has disappeared and history has changed, the power I possess hasn't vanished. I leave the Grand Nirvana Temple, head up the valley, and settle on a spot. Let's restore my Heaven Tribe cultivation. After reaching the 4-axis stage, I will reconnect the axis of wealth and advance to the mid-stage. Then, when I enter the Grand Cultivator Association with the genuine 3 great ultimates and declare myself a Grand Cultivator, who will dare to stop me? The precedent is gone. I'll just create a new one. I sit down and gather heaven and earth spiritual energy with my attraction force. Quarurum. As overwhelming celestial energy gathers, to the extent of rumbling thunder, my cultivation that had fallen to the mid-heavenly being stage begins to rise. Quarurum. After facing the heavenly tribulation for the late heavenly being stage again, I prepare my rise to grand perfection heavenly being. It's time to use the heavenly circles formula. The new heavenly circles formula is as follows. In spring, all things are born. Chenja Wanwu Shursung. In summer, all things are grown. Shaja Wanwu Changya. In autumn, all things are matured. Chengwu Chengsu. In winter, all things are conserved. Dongja Wanwu Bitang. None are beyond the merits of the 4 seasons. Wu Fei Su Shi Zhigonyet. Spring gives birth to all things. Summer nurtures all things. Autumn matures all things. Winter puts all things to rest again. This is the merit of the 4 seasons, Thushri. The cycle of spring, summer, autumn, winter, Chenshachudong, completes the heavenly circle. It is long yet simple at the same time. However, I feel that this formula fits the heavenly circle better than the original acceptance at fate's end. Weeing. The power of the heavenly being cycles within me. Although acceptance at fate's end harmonizes well with the power of the 4 axis, the formula received as a gift of connection, yin and yang, feels complete in the heavenly being stage itself. Although it might not harmonize well with the 4-axis stage, within the same level of the heavenly being stage, this formula is stronger. Wawum. I feel the halo of the heavenly circle behind my nascent soul becoming more distinct. This is ZZT. While contemplating the halo of the heavenly circle, I feel as if thunder has struck my entire body from the top of my head. This is guguguguk. A sound like something scratching resonates as the fiercely spinning halo of the heavenly circle seems to separate from the world itself. I knew this feeling. An axis. Why yang? At the same time, the attraction force from my nascent soul becomes even stronger. Indeed, it's another axis. What is an axis? An axis is a kind of nascent soul. However, unlike the nascent soul created during the nascent soul stage, which imprints one's very self, an axis is a nascent soul imprinted with a specific attribute. In other words, it is a nascent soul that maximizes an attribute rather than a personality. The method to obtain an axis through the heterodox axis foundation is to kill a cultivator of the same realm, crush their nascent soul, and compress it into an axis. Since the nascent soul is spiritual power that's on the plane of soul, and not the soul itself, when separated from the soul and compressed within the body, there's no risk of the body being stolen. 1 4-axis cultivator, 100 heavenly being cultivators, or 10,000 nascent soul cultivators can be used to create an axis, but even 100 billion core formation cultivators can't create an axis for this very reason. The standard method to obtain an orthodox axis foundation is to gather a large amount of an attribute's energy, perform a ritual at the plane of chi, and, just like creating a nascent soul, elevate it to the plane of soul, and then connect it to one's own nascent soul. Hence, an axis has no definite form. It can be a surface, a point, or a three-dimensional object. That is the axis. If a person's nascent soul takes the shape of a person, what shape should the nascent soul of the nature of heaven and earth take? The 5 blessings are a given. And since the 5 elements indeed have no fixed form, every race, every method, and every way of thought has a different way of storing an axis. The demon race might store it in the form of the 5 viscera and 6 bowels, while the heaven tribe might store it in the form of dharma treasures. Of course, as the name axis suggests, many store it in the form of a pillar, but it isn't absolute. The important thing is that while an axis is a type of nascent soul, it is a nascent soul imprinted with an attribute rather than a personality, meaning it can be controlled with the main nascent soul created during the nascent soul stage. But now, my main nascent soul has become an axis. It's an exceedingly bizarre occurrence. But this strange contradiction makes my head ache. Why didn't Seoli notice this? He must have cultivated this formula for hundreds of years before me. Yet among the insights Seoli passed down, there's no mention that the main nascent soul becomes akin to an axis through the new heavenly circle formula. In other words, Seoli was unaware that the main nascent soul will transform into an axis. While thinking about the differences between myself and Seoli, something flashes through my mind. Heart, Shin. That's right. Seoli was considerably less adept at handling heart essence compared to me. Although I don't know the exact reason, I feel that this new formula of the heavenly circle is significantly related to the heart. Ah, I see. Why? The great desert to Dead Sea responds so naturally. Seoli didn't know it himself, but he was unconsciously applying this formula to the great desert to Dead Sea. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth is a given, but theoretically, it could also seize the spiritual energy of others. That is the great desert to Dead Sea. Though I would never use it in such a way due to my personality, even excluding that, the technique that ravenously devours heaven and earth's spiritual energy to the point of decertifying an area is exactly the great desert to Dead Sea. But if such a convenient devilish art is possible, why haven't other races or sects developed such a devilish art sooner? Seoli had unconsciously applied this formula to create the great desert to Dead Sea. As a formula that creates an axis out of the nascent soul, it allows for wielding a vast amount of attraction force, even more so than others of the same realm. It unconsciously uses the attraction force to voraciously absorb heaven and earth's spiritual energy and directly infuse it into the nascent soul. As I observe the nascent soul emitting attraction force within me, I fall into thought. The reason the axis has attraction force is because it itself is a kind of symbol, and thus part of nature. Of course, all objects have attraction force, but the reason an axis has a stronger attraction force is that creating a nascent soul as a symbol maximizes the attraction force within the symbol. Then there arises a problem here. What exactly does this new axis symbolize? Kuguguguk. I feel the attraction force emanating from my nascent soul, a formula that allows wielding the power of the 4-axis stage within the heavenly being stage. However, it doesn't harmonize with other 4-axis stage formulas. It's an extremely peculiar matter. I'll have to investigate this more closely while accumulating more axes. After 7 days and nights, I perform a ritual with the great desert to Dead Sea and elevate my heaven tribe cultivation to the 4-axis stage. Kururung. Having withstood the heavenly tribulation, my entire body radiates an immense attraction force, and my eyes gleam. The attraction force obtained with the new formula of the heavenly circle. The attraction force gained upon reaching the 4-axis stage, and the attraction force acquired through the axis of wealth following my regression. Additionally, the power exuding from the perfectly harmonized 3 great ultimates. It's clearly at the late integration level. Now, shall I go reclaim the position of a grand cultivator? No precedent is needed. No permission is required. If there is no Te Yeol John, then I will become the first grand cultivator of the Heart Tribe. I prepare everything and ascend to Heavenly Human Island. Tatit. Heavenly Human Island is thriving as usual. The voices of bustling cultivators reverberate everywhere, and the markets are bustling with activity. It's when I ascend to the outskirts of Heavenly Human Island, to the marketplace. ZZZT. A tingling, killing intent pierces my whole body. Step. I take a step forward and naturally draw my colorless glass sword. My consciousness accelerates so very naturally. Heaven and earth slows down. 3 in front, 2 behind, 1 on the left. My consciousness quickly sweeps the surroundings. Passers-by passing by me. A Dharma treasure vendor selling a compass-shaped Dharma treasure to customers. An artist under a canopy, painting and receiving money while avoiding the sunlight. High in GWI, walking around with a snack in his mouth, chatting with other members of the mystical scaled fish commanding sect, as if on a mission. Seeing High in GWI startles me a bit, but it appears like a coincidence, so I set him aside for now. These people are within a 2 zhang radius of me. Up to 5 zhang away, there are children running around, A group of cultivators examining flying sword magic artifacts, a body cultivator promoting body refining methods, and a flock of low-level spirit beasts resembling pigeons fluttering their wings as they take flight. In a fleeting moment, in a brief instant where even calling it feeding is insufficient, I imprint everything within a 5-zhang radius into my mind. But it isn't enough. The range of a martial artist expands even further. 10 zhang. An old man carrying a flower basket, looking around. A man testing a chariot-shaped Dharma treasure. A child reading a method book while holding an apple in one hand. A couple holding hands and laughing happily. An old woman at the core formation stage with a resigned expression as if she has little time left. I calculate even the trajectory of every dust particle they kick up into my sword path. 20 zhang, 30 zhang, 40 zhang, 100 zhang. Chwak. With a speed that seems to match light, I gradually read every movement within my domain while grasping the starting form. A world where time slows down due to acceleration. The world seems to darken. Within that, my eyes gleam fiercely. And then, flash. The leader of the Human Race Grand Alliance, a Grand Perfection Integration Stage Grand Cultivator, and head of the Grand Cultivator Association, Junjie, using the flying escape technique, dashes towards me like a streak of light in the frozen world. Got you, Heart Tribe Spy? I move my sword with a bitter smile. All 6 Grand Cultivators of the Human Race Grand Alliance, excluding Han 1, come at me. The Grand Cultivator battle, Tai Shu John, has begun. Translator notes. All 7 fairy tales have roots in Korean/Chinese folk tales. For example, the Goblin's Hat, in the appearance of a tangent, is from a traditional Korean folk tale of a poor man who got a goblin's hat that allowed his body and other objects that would identify him to become invisible. The man would then use the invisibility to steal from others to gain wealth.